Whew. Good morning, everybody. Miller and Moulton made it through very well. So thank you. Hope you all did okay, and your friends and family. And yes, Paula, it'd be nice if they could be done. Certainly, the west coast of Florida could use like 5 years with nothing. That would be really nice. Sorry to hear that, Arch. My old neighborhood in Fort Myers got one of those 2 tornadoes.
Yeah, it did.
It was about 7 blocks from my old house.
That was scary. I'm not those 30, 40 minutes when we had 7 tornadoes in Southwest Florida, and they're saying one's by the Coconut Point Mall, and I'm like, okay, and they're showing the cone. It's coming right at my house. I'm like, well, that's fun.
Right.
You can't do a damn thing about that.
No, can't do a damn thing really about any of it.
These seconds, everybody.
These things make you realize just how little control you really have.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So great to be back with you live. Hope you're all doing as well as possible. And we know that many of you are not. And for that, we're bummed for you. And we're hoping to just, do our regular show on a Friday and be a distraction and hopefully somewhat entertaining. And, of course, make sure you hear our picks and go the other way. Maybe we can win you some money. And after the week that just went, when it probably cost everybody some money in some way, shape, or form, maybe we'll use a little reverse psychology and we'll start next week off with a couple shekels for you. How you doing? How'd you and your family get through it?
We got through it fine. Looks like I lost a refrigerator with all the power surges. My fridge is shot, which sucks.
In the garage or in the house?
The main fridge. And I noticed this last night because my daughter sent me out. I went to the store. I had to get Publix reopened, and I needed one thing for dinner. And I said, to my daughter, I said, "Do you want anything?" She said, "I want ice cream, Dad." Done.
Don't we all?
So I picked up ice cream, and as everybody went to bed last night, I went back for the ice cream.
It was melted?
And I'm like, this is a little melty. Better sample it. And my late night munchies caused me to realize that the freezer was not working and the fridge was not working. So I was able to get everything to the other fridge and freezer, and, we'll be fine. And it's just one of life's inconveniences that happens with these storms.
See, once again, though, your late night eating habits have turned out to be a real positive. Okay. If you had not gone back to the well, like you're prone to do, you would have woke up this morning and maybe not even noticed this morning. And then you would have gone to work and you might have lost everything in the fridge. See, your late night food consumption just saved your family hundreds of dollars.
Exactly. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that.
Right. So I think the grief when you go back for thirds and fourths, particularly between 8 p.m. and midnight, needs to stop. Okay. There's a purpose behind it. Okay. Things need to be sampled. You're just checking to make sure everything's okay.
Cookies and cream for those that wanted to know, and it was delicious.
I know that we text a little bit during the last 48 hours. Mom get power back or no?
Mom got power back in her neighborhood, so she's happy, and she's not staying with us, so I'm happy. And
curious, besides the natural anxiety, maybe even tension that comes when you live somewhere where a storm or a tornado or what have you is coming your way. But then you've got family, oftentimes family huddles together. And, in theory, that sounds great. But then in actuality, it's like, man, we're spending a lot of time together and we don't normally do this. And now I know why. So everything go okay?
Everything went fine. All joking aside, mom's good, family's good. If we lost a refrigerator compared to what everybody, particularly in Punta Gorda, Fort Myers Beach, even Bonita Beach, I know got it again. The Island Park area, Fort Myers got it again.
And obviously north of Charlotte County, Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa, St. Pete. Yeah, the west coast of Florida needs a reprieve for years. How about the rest of the decade? What do you say? The west coast of Florida takes the rest of the decade off.
Felt just awful for those first responders using the Trop as their headquarters, and the Trop just gets bamboozled.
And the Trop was built to withstand 115 miles an hour. So one of two things: either it couldn't withstand up to 115 miles an hour, or it was greater than 115 miles an hour. And remember, they had measured it as it was making landfall in Siesta Key? Is that where they said that, Milton made landfall? And it made landfall at around $1.20, $1.25. But, they always say there are gusts within that are greater. And it's usually 20 or so miles an hour greater. But yeah, it was something. I had to explain to my wife, and she goes, "Oh, that's a shame." And I go, "Well, it is a shame." And then she starts asking about the Trop, and I go, "Well, the irony is they're now going to have to repair it only to tear it down in 3 years." So, and of course, for the beginning of the season, to have it be an open air stadium wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Final few days of March, April into May, okay, could be lovely. And then the next 4 months, what the whole dome concept, that'd be good because it's pretty damn hot. So they got 5.5 months to fix it.
Among other things.
Yes.
That is for sure. First off, congratulations to your Mets.
Wow. Didn't think they could do it. I'll be honest.
I didn't either.
I
didn't think they were the better team against Philadelphia, but boy, oh boy, When they needed a hit from anybody, they got a hit from anybody, it seemed.
They'd played 13 times in the regular season. Phillies won the series 7-6, but 3 of the Mets' 6 wins were against the Phillies' number 5 starter, who wasn't even on the roster for the series. So they went 3-7 against the 4 starting pitchers that they were going to face in the series. And the Mets bullpen, while much better because they revamped 2/3 of it during the season, was not the Phillies bullpen. I mean, the Phillies had 2 all-star relievers, for goodness sakes. So the Phillies, with all their experience, proven big bats, all right, and clearly the pitching edge. And so, of course, Mark, what happened? All right. The Mets won the 2 starts against both Wheeler and Nola, and then they scored about 19 runs off the Phillies' tremendous bullpen. I mean, playoff baseball, just like your Tigers, okay? Winning game 2 with the 3-run homer in the 9th off the Guardians closer, who hadn't given up a home run on that pitch all year. I mean, playoff baseball is just awesome. It is, whatever the norms are, you just throw them out the window. It is such a crapshoot. It's in many ways, Mark, it really is like the first couple rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs, where seemingly anybody can knock off anybody. Then usually once you get halfway through the playoffs, you kind of know who's better and who's going to win from here.
And we talked about it with 4 series at 1-1. How many game 5s would we get? We're going to get 2 game 5s, which is fantastic. One tonight, Dodgers and Padres, and tomorrow the Guardians and the Tigers. Almost did it again. I don't know if that's a full fine. That's
no, that's not. No. You were reaching into your pocket to contribute, but then you stopped. You caught yourself there. So both New York teams through to the LCS. Okay, here's the funny thing. Fox is thrilled that the American League New York team is through to the LCS, and they're just fine that the National League New York team is through to the LCS. They do not want the National League team from New York to win many more games. This needs to, and they really, just Yankees Mets didn't do well in 2000.
Yankees Padres would do better.
I didn't finish my thought. I mean, clearly what they're rooting for is undecided to win tonight for the Dodgers. If you haven't been paying attention, in 3 of the 5 games now, the Dodgers starting pitcher the day of the game has been officially listed as undecided. The Tigers have done this too. Tigers, game 3, they went with, we'll let you know. I mean, the way the starting pitching has gone in these playoffs, it reminds me, remember when Popovich, just filled out the scorebook and he listed Tim Duncan, DNP old? All right, I kind of feel as if that certain teams, their starting pitching is in such disarray that they're, they hand in the lineup cards and the umpire goes, so this is who you decided on. They're like, yeah, about 12 minutes ago, we drew straws.
Certainly seems that it's not much different, but relying on bullpens can be a curse or a blessing, and it's a crapshoot now in the postseason. Great win by the Mets. Yankees get it done last night. Couple of game 5s. Baseball's trying to poke its way at least around the periphery of football here on the weekend.
An order was restored in the NFC West last night. The Niners going into Seattle, beating the Seahawks, saying to Seattle that 3-0 start was nice. It was cute. It was fun. Now go back to being the Seahawks of recent vintage. And despite all our injuries and all our issues, we're now 3-3. We're tied for the division lead, and we're just going to take it from here. Thank you very much.
Big on a lot of fronts. They'd already lost 2 division games, did the Niners?
Yeah. They would have fallen 2 games behind Seattle, be 0-3 in the division. No, it was, if we had done a show yesterday, I was all over the Niners. Veteran team who could do the math. They knew They had to win yesterday. And this just in, Brock Purdy's pretty good. Pretty good. He gonna get paid.
Yes, he is. And of all the quarterbacks that's gotten paid, if we did this blind resume, if you will, where would Purdy stack up against the Lawrences, the Tuas, the Jordan Loves of what he's done? I don't know how much he'll get paid compared to them, but the resume itself is quite impressive.
Well, I don't know how the Niners can play hardball. I mean, don't you think Purdy can just look at him and go, well, let's see. Hurts got 51. Goff got 53. Let's see. Tua got 53. Lawrence got 55. I mean, Dak got 60. Who am I missing? I mean, just start at a 5, boys. Pick a number. Pick this like the Price is Right. I feel as if we're missing one number, but I can tell you the first number is a 5.
Ooh, we're playing the Lucky 7 car game?
Love so many underrated games on that show. Really.
Love the Lucky 7 car game.
I hate the falling off the cliff game though, because I hate
You don't
the
like
music.
the cliffhanger?
I hate the music.
Yeah, you don't look like a yodel guy.
No, I'm really not. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is 25 minutes away. Lee Sterling, Pat Kirwan, JP Shadrick from London, all on the show. Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 239-382-7332. Again, that's 239-382-7332. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and can lead to amputation.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Norrell, DC. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs.
Pick up the phone right now and call 239-382-7332. Call us today at Restore Health. 239-382-7332.
American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Might want to buy a lottery ticket, go Raiders. At least a scratcher. They probably can't do the other ones.
Wow. Congrats, Go Raiders.
Put that Purdue number just enough to scare me.
They have now fully realized just how bad Purdue is, though.
Yes.
It's also the week before Illinois plays Michigan. And for them, what is a big game?
Yes.
We're going to have that game on CBS. I looked it up. I cannot find evidence that CBS has done a game at Illinois since 1983. We did the Michigan-Illinois game in 83, and I cannot find evidence that CBS has done a game in Champaign since.
Who do you have someone at CBS you can go to back you up on that?
Well, I asked. I mean, I did the research. I went year by year, okay, because, they keep track of, what network the games were on, because back in the day, you weren't on national television all the time.
Right.
And, CBS stopped having access to Big Ten games basically once the 90s started.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Lee Sterling to join us. He's on a bit of a heater if you pay for what it is he offers. He's at about a 78% clip the last 2 weeks. He's nailed all his big plays, 35, 40, 45 unit plays. He's nailed them all. All right. He's got a little something going here. It is Locktober after all. So Lee Sterling to join us coming up at the top of the hour.
Well, this is the first really, to me, great college football weekend of the year. Last weekend turned out to be great, but it didn't look like it was going to be because of all the upsets.
Mm-hmm.
This one on paper looks to be spectacular, David.
So you got the Red River Shootout, or whatever they're calling it now. I don't know, rivalry. It just, meet and greet. I don't know.
In fact, that's what they've changed it to, David. The Red River meet and greet.
Meet and greet. Right. What was that thing in college? They'd get together and they'd, play like all acoustic music and what have you. They'd have it like once a week. It'd usually be on the Commons. Okay. We're changing all the names of our college football rivalries into like little get togethers. Okay. Like apparently it's no longer the Civil War. Really? Have you talked to the people of Oregon and Oregon State about that lately? It's no longer a shootout. It's a rivalry. No, it's a shootout. All right. Just stop it already. This is college football. College football is the most politically incorrect of all the sports. Just let it be. If you don't like it, fine. Okay. But just let college football be college football. It might be the last thing left of what we used to call college football. Just leave the rivalries alone.
Little late for that diatribe, David, because all the names are gone. Every single one of them.
And while we're at it, make North Dakota the Fighting Sioux again. All right. I feel better.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. So we got Oklahoma, Texas. You got USC, Penn State. They haven't played since a Rose Bowl like 8 years ago. This is, another conference showdown. Just like Mark, Texas, Oklahoma, that's the big game in the Big 12 this year. Oh, wait. No, it's not. What else we got? Oh, yeah. Another Rose Bowl or Fiesta Bowl or something like that. And only now it's a conference game. Of course it is. Ohio State at Oregon.
Throw in a little Old Miss at LSU.
Right. They genuinely don't like each other. It is a rivalry game, border states. Okay. It's genuine.
Big 12's got a couple of interesting games with K-State at Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Iowa State at Virginia, where the number's only 3.
Wait, Iowa State at West Virginia. Right? Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry. You said Virginia.
I
you threw me
apologize.
there. So, yes. Well, just like, hey, do you have the confidence to bet K-State on the road?
No.
And
I wanted to, just to honk off some people in our Twitch chat room, but I don't have the confidence to do it.
Colorado, one of 5 unbeatens in the Big 12. If by chance is a slight dog, they win at home late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Look out. Look out. So, yes, it's a terrific college football weekend. And it's the first time that NBC has had a college football game of this magnitude. And by this magnitude, I mean both teams in the top 5 since Florida State Notre Dame, the very first game that drew game day out of the Bristol studios and on location, the game of the century back in 93.
Wow. So Notre Dame's never been in a spot to give NBC or with an opponent to give NBC a game like this. That's crazy.
Notre Dame was close with the Bush push, but they had lost a game, I believe, before that game. So they were ranked highly, but they were not top 5. And USC obviously was number 1 in the country for that game. So, yes, NBC. Plus, they kind of got out of the college football business. NBC had a rough little stretch there sports-wise. They lost the NFL and college football. They didn't have any contracts either. But, yeah, the last time NBC aired a top 5 matchup was Florida State, Notre Dame, both unbeaten in November of 93 in South Bend.
I don't know who that was more painful to. The folks at NBC that, if they were listening, or the Florida State fan going, man, I remember when we were good. And I know it was just last year, but since they got squashed from the playoff last year just doesn't seem fulfilling.
No, and it seems like much longer than 10 months ago also.
It really does.
Because also while we were gone, it took 1 day off from the hurricane. While we were gone, they lost another top recruit, this time a wide receiver to Texas. I mean, things are going swimmingly in Tallahassee this football season. But listen, Florida State fan can take solace. They won the Natty that year. That was Bobby's first. Now, I thought they should have split it with Notre Dame, considering they played and Notre Dame beat them. But, we did that back in the day. We split titles. But Notre Dame got upset the very next week by Tom Coughlin's Boston College team. And that's how Florida State was able to win out and win the Natty.
The bad loss, David. Will that be the case this year as we're getting to the 12-team playoff? And there are so many teams that already have a bad loss. How much will those bad losses weigh on Notre Dame, Alabama, Ole Miss when it comes time to select the 12 teams?
And the power of the late season loss, never mind bad loss. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, but a big stage for NBC, big stage for Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge, to have a game that, and for what it's worth, if you're into this sort of thing, NBC acquired the game. NBC did not have, the way it's done is you got Fox, CBS, NBC, and which network has first choice which weeks. Well, Fox pretty much controls the conference. So there's no way Fox was not going to have control of who has first pick October 12th. So NBC had to acquire the game. They had to trade future first pick weeks and what have you. And so NBC's putting all their eggs for this game. And is it the first of multiple matchups this year between these two teams?
A lot of pressure on, not so much, these two teams, obviously, but a lot of pressure to me on Penn State if they want to keep going. Can't lose the game at USC.
Agreed. Have to start winning these games. I know they're a slight favorite, and USC is unranked after the loss to Minnesota, but they have to win these games. They have to stop being the worst 10-2 team that you could possibly be, which is win all the games you're supposed to win, and then when you play a good team, you lose. And that's what they've been lately. That's got to stop.
Ewers coming back in Texas after the oblique injury. How is he going to fare? Will Arch get some playing time?
Oklahoma getting 14 plus.
I know.
That's a lot of points.
That's a good defense in Oklahoma.
That's a lot of points in this game, isn't it? Lee Sterling with his picks coming up. On the other side, the starting five, Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
The world-famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination, with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world-famous cigar bar.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
something happened, and I had to plug something back in, and I just wanted to make sure everything worked.
I was just having fun.
Okay. Oh, boy. Yes, Irish football. We, meaning Miller and Moulton, did extremely well with the hurricane. So Jacksonville has turned out to be maybe the safest place in the state. That and Miami, Fort Lauderdale, this hurricane season. There was some storm surge and some flooding. There are areas of Jacksonville that really flood, but not where we live. And obviously, Jake, if the studio didn't make it okay, we wouldn't be on the air. Adam, come on now. After what the Mets have done, there's no blowing it from here.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It's been a heck of a sports month. We'll recap not just yesterday, but also a couple of things from since we were last on the air. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Thursday Night Football is where we'll start the NFL. Niners got a key win. They had lost, they would have fallen to 2-4. Be 0-3 in the division. then you really start to wonder, are they still the Niners? In the NFC West, the answer is apparently yes. They went to Seattle, short week, banged up. Brock Purdy threw 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to Kittle. Niners jumped on Seattle early, held them off 36-24. Both teams now 3-3. And for Seattle, that's not good because they started 3-0. And their last 2 losses, both at home. A couple other NFL notes. The Jets demoted offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. They took play calling away from him. Remember, he was the Aaron Rodgers' favorite coach from his days in Green Bay, who then went to be the head coach of the Broncos for one ill-fated year. Then the Jets signed him because they were going to go get Aaron Rodgers. Well, now they took play calling away from him. Why? Because they're 27th in the league in offense. That's why. Todd Downing, who's the quarterback's coach, who was the offensive coordinator the last couple of years with the Titans, he will call plays. Jets hosting Bills Monday night. Saints
Can I just stop you there really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't Aaron call all the plays at the line of scrimmage?
Well, obviously not all of them. Okay, I mean, he obviously has the authority. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, the play comes in and he can do with it what he wants, but
I'm just curious how much this is going to really help. That's all.
I don't see how it can hurt, though. The offense, by those who know a lot more about football than us, have said it's really stagnant. This is, an offense that worked 15 years ago. There's very little motion. And, this offense needs some spice, some variety. And basically that's what the interim coach said. He's like, listen, we have to change things up. It's not working. What he didn't say, but what was implied was, listen, I've been the defensive coordinator, and I know how much we've sucked on offense because I got to send my guys back out there all the time.
Way too often.
Yeah. For years now, and I'm a little tired of it. The Saints turned to the rookie quarterback who was the third-string quarterback Monday night in Kansas City. Former South Carolina Gamecock Spencer Rattler. He will get the start Sunday in a key division game hosting the Buccaneers. Now, listen, I have no idea whether or not, obviously, he's going to be any good or not, but I have been on the record for a couple years. When I saw him in college, he looked to me like an NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he looked to me like a franchise quarterback or whatever, but Spencer Rattler, and the thing that I really liked, Mark, every time I saw him, when did Spencer Rattler at South Carolina step out onto the field with the better talent?
Hardly ever.
Right. Now, I mean, he pulled off some big wins a couple years ago. Remember, in November, they beat Tennessee and Clemson, and he did really well. His final year at South Carolina, he was under siege, and that year actually impressed me more because he had no help up front. And I saw him a couple times, and I thought, wow, he's really making chicken salad out of chicken, not salad. So, I don't know. I like the kid. I think he's an NFL quarterback. We'll see if he's ready to be one Sunday when they host the Bucs. College football last night, 3 games, none of them close. James Madison beat Coastal Carolina 39-7. La Tech over Middle Tennessee State 48-21. Western Kentucky 44-17 over UTEP. UTEP is awful. Awful. Wow. So South Florida, they were supposed to play tonight against Memphis. That got pushed back to Saturday before Hurricane Milton hit. Well, now they've moved the game from Tampa to Orlando. It's going to be Saturday, 3:30, Camping World Stadium in Orlando. The game will be on ESPN+. But South Florida, Memphis. Other college football news. Quinn Ewers going to start for Texas. Missed the last 2 games. Arch filled in. But Ewers gets to start for Texas against Oklahoma. So the SEC and the Big Ten met for about a day and a half in Nashville, Wednesday and Thursday. They made sure to say that, quote, college football is not broken, unquote. So for all of you out there saying that it is, they don't believe that it is. Maybe it's because they're going to get most everything that they want, being the Big Ten and the SEC. So how could the system be broken? It's their system. But they did say this, Mark. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti have said we are rejecting all of the private equity possibilities and offers. Okay? That we're not bringing private equity money into our leagues, which seems to be their way of also saying that Super League idea that's out there. Well, that's $9 billion in private equity money. I mean, they specifically said yesterday, everything that's being proposed by private equity people, we think we can do ourselves. I do think, Mark, this is an opportunity for the Big 12.
Well, the Big 12 has been up front saying they have no problem with the private equity money. They're the
Right.
only conference that's raised their hand and said, oh, we're very interested in this.
Right.
Guy.
So think about that. If the Big Ten and the SEC are like, no, we like the system as is, we're going to rig it even more in our favor going forward. The Big 12 is like, okay, that's fine. We're going to take a different course. You guys are Coke and Pepsi. We're going to be Sprite or Dr. Pepper. We're going to do our own thing. And it probably should be Dr. Pepper, right? They
It
sponsor
really
a lot
should.
of college
I'm glad-
football.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad you went there because there are a lot of imitators with Sprite. Dr. Pepper is kind of, I mean, you got that Mr. Pibb that's a Dr. Pepper, but
Yeah,
it doesn't even count.
No, it shouldn't. To me, it's like Crystal for White Castle. But anyway, I know those are fighting words. The NCAA also came out and announced that they've eliminated the National Letter of Intent. The National Letter of Intent's been around since 1964. That's the early days of the Lyndon Baines Johnson administration. 60 years, you know, the faxes, they come in. They let you know where a kid's going to school. Apparently, they're going to be replaced by some combination of a new financial aid agreement. That was for the laugh track. I paused and waited for the laugh track.
What?
Replaced by a new financial aid agreement, and
Sorry.
and we're probably going to end up having contracts, which I have to say is a good thing. But so much for the Alabama fax machine, Mark. It has seen its last day. Baseball playoffs. In the American League, a game 5 is necessary between the Guardians and the Tigers because David Fry came off the bench with the Guardians down 3-2 in the 7th, and he had a pinch hit 2-run homer. Gave the Guardians a 4-3 lead. Then he added a squeeze bunt for a run in the 9th. They needed it. Detroit scored 1 in the bottom of the 9th. Your final, Cleveland 5-4. There'll be a game 5 tomorrow. Winner to play the Yankees, who went to Kansas City and won both games. 3-1 the final in game 4. Cole came back on 3 days rest through 7 really good innings. Yankees win the series 3-1. Giancarlo Stanton was the guy who carried the Yankees, particularly in Kansas City. He had the game-winning homer in the 8th in game 3, and then he had 2 hits, including an RBI in game 4. Judge hit like $140 in the series, and his playoff numbers are not that good. He needs to snap out of it. But Yankees will host the winner of Guardians Tigers, and I believe game 1 of the ALCS will be in New York on Monday. So that'll be interesting. The Jets will be playing across the Hudson and the Yankees in the Bronx. Tonight, game 5, Dodgers Padres. And while officially undecided is the Dodgers starting pitcher at the moment, the word is they're going to go with Yamamoto, the big free agent signing. That means it'll be Yu Darvish against Yamamoto. First all Japanese starting pitchers against one another in a playoff game. If in fact it happens, winner hosts the Mets. Game 1 Sunday in the LCS. I'm just curious, Mark, if you're the Mets, do you fly to Denver today and watch the game and then get back on the plane, or do you fly to LA and find out who wins, and then if the Dodgers win, you check into the hotel, and if not, you get back on the plane and go to San Diego? I mean, or do you just hang out in New York and fly tomorrow?
Just hang and fly tomorrow.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see, particularly if it's Dodgers that win, and recent history says the Padres will win because the top seeds have been getting beat in the National League ever since they've gone to this new playoff format. But if the Dodgers win, you'll have Dodgers-Mets Sunday night on Fox up against Sunday Night Football. Be curious to see how baseball does, particularly if it's New York and LA. Damage to Tropicana Field will take weeks just to assess. They've got 5.5 months to fix it. The Rays are scheduled to play the Rockies opening day next season on March 27th. That's 167 days. It's a day shy of 24 weeks. So they've got 5.5 months to fix the trop. The roof was ripped off by Hurricane Milton. And the Pollard family has owned the Twins for 40 years. They announced they're selling. The team is valued at around $1.5 billion. Don't you think it's going to get a lot more than that? Because the T-Wolves garnered a better offer than that. You can't tell me the T-Wolves are worth more than the Twins. I don't believe that to be the case. NHL, there were 9 games last night. Panthers lost in Ottawa 3-1. They may have lost Barkov to an injury in the final minute and a half of that game as well. Bruins over the Canadiens 6-4. Swayman back in the nets, got the win. Didn't play all that great for the Bees. Toronto doubled up New Jersey 4-2. Penguins did the same to your Wings, Mark, 6-3. And Nashville lost to Dallas 4-3. Stamkos hit the post with 15 seconds to play in regulation. Would have tied it and sent it to overtime. The Lightning play their season opener tonight in Carolina. They were supposed to play their home opener tomorrow. That game's been postponed. They'll make it up at some point. Right now, the home opener for the Lightning is pushed back to Wednesday, Thursday next week. I think they've got Vancouver. But the Lightning organization said, yeah, we're not in the proper frame of mind as a community to be hosting sports. We need a little time. So it's probably a good thing that the Bucks are on the road. Ray J suffered a little cosmetic damage. They moved the Bulls game against Memphis to Orlando. So the Tampa Bay area's got about a week before they're scheduled to host any sports. And a stunner in the WNBA Finals last night. Not only did Minnesota go into New York and beat the top-seeded Liberty 95-93 in overtime, they were down 15 with 5 minutes to go. Outscored New York 18-3 to force overtime. Mark, some high drama. New York's down 1. Breanna Stewart's fouled with 1/10 of a second to play. Shooting 2 free throws. Makes the first. Misses the second. They go to overtime and lose. New York's been to the finals 6 times. They've yet to win the title. Lynx up 1-0. It's a best of 5. Game 2 on Sunday. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know here on Miller and Moulton.
There's a chance next week this segment could be sponsored. I'm working on something right now, and I'm fired up just so I have something for you to say at the end of the starting 5.
Do I have to say it in that same voice?
I pretty much have. The customers mandated it.
The starting 5 is brought to you by
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So I reached out to Trent just to say, hey, tough one with the Tigers, but you got Scooble going, blah, blah, blah. Can you believe the Lions are favored in Dallas? He apparently went to the game yesterday.
Oh, good for him.
He says, I'm in shambles. I didn't sleep. I drove back to the studio, got back at 3:30. Wow. Told him you were going to have a hell of a power nap today.
All right, I got to find a fifth game.
I did it last break.
Morning, Lee.
Good morning, guys.
How you
How's
doing?
everything there, Mark? You got power?
Oh, yeah. I only lost power for about 3 hours.
Wow. Okay. You have a generator?
No.
No. Okay. 3 or 4 years ago, I'm tired of hearing my wife complain. And
Well, we were going to
getting
get a
the
whole
gas.
house one. And then it had to be put to the other side of the house. And it was like, I'm not spending $19,000 on a generator.
Ours was 26. They had to trench ours too from the other side. So not something I look forward to, but also the resale of the house. It helps out. So
Yep. You're right.
your wife bitch about it sometimes?
All the time.
Okay. Where are you, David?
You mean tomorrow?
Yeah.
Penn State at USC.
Good game.
Yeah, I've got 2 cross-country trips. I'm in LA, and then I got Monday Night Football in Jersey. So I'm taking another
Okay.
red eye, second red eye in
Yes.
14 days.
No fun.
But at least I'll see
fun.
Mom.
Did you see about the NASA, the Cal team, Cal Athletics, talking to NASA about how to help go cross country? See that?
Interesting. No.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit about it. All right. We talk.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on a football Friday means Lee Sterling. He of Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. He's on a heater. He calls October Locktober, and so far it has been. He's 14-4 the last couple weeks. He also has hit his last 3 big unit, 40-plus unit plays. He's 4-1 on the year with those. He's over 75% over the decades on those. It's all documented. ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. How you doing?
I'm good. I was thinking about all these games, the Big Ten teams going cross country, you're going cross country, and going to give you a solution. So I'll never forget this. I was at home and getting ready to take my daughter to a cheerleading competition. And she's probably 4.5, 5 years old. First year cheerleading, and my wife steps into the man cave and she says, "How are your games going?" And I said, "Not good." And so my daughter hears this and she goes, "Daddy, let me tell you what they need to do." The team. I said, "What's that?" She goes, "They need to have Scooby snacks. That'll make them play better." So, we're hearing I don't know if you saw the article about NASA. I think it was Cal Athletics talking to NASA how to, better nutrition, how to better hydrate themselves. And reason they went there, they felt if they can get another extra win or 2 per sport, it would be worth it, because these teams, Big Ten, going cross country like it's nothing now. So Scooby snacks is the key.
I always have been a fan of Scooby snacks.
So it's either NASA, Elon Musk, or Scooby Snacks. We've narrowed it down to one of those 3.
I'll go with Scooby snacks.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the games, Lee, because I'm very interested in this first game that you're predicting. UCF and Cincinnati. UCF's looked horrible. They're not, they got beat up by Colorado. They got beat up at the line of scrimmage, which we didn't expect. And they have not looked the team that we expected them to. They don't run the ball as well as they should be able to. This is a soft spot. They're a 3-point favorite against Cincinnati.
Well, now you see why, Arkansas was not upset KJ Jefferson left. I mean, a lot of people thought he was injured all the time, just not a next level player, not a difference maker. And their line play, offensive and defensive lines, not getting the job done. Even Florida dominated that game even more than the score would indicate. Cincinnati's coming around. I mean, Brendan Sorsby, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Xavier Henderson, who used to be at Florida, having a big year. It seems like every game, catching at least 100 yards and passes or more. I like Cincinnati here. This line's going up. People are betting Central Florida. Money's coming in big and heavy on Central Florida. I like Cincinnati. I think they win this game here 38-30.
Right now, Cincinnati would be getting 3, but pay attention, it may move. All right, the Big E, it's settled right now at 3. Ohio State, a 3-point favorite at Oregon. Battle of top 3 teams in the country. It's unusual to have the third-ranked team in the country be a home dog. Ohio State given 3 at Oregon.
So these two teams have not played real top level competition so far. But what I can glean from the 2 games where they played good teams, Oregon beat Boise State 38-34. But in that game, they won the game in the second half because of a punt return and a kickoff return. They, I thought, were dominated at the line of scrimmage. Boise ran for 221 yards on them. And I think Ohio State can with Quishon Jenkins and Trevion Henderson, who last week against a pretty good front 7 for Iowa ran for 6 and 5.5 yards per carry. Dylan Gabriel just doesn't look right. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure whether he just doesn't have the connection with his receivers or the system isn't right for him. He's thrown 3 key red zone picks so far this year. And Dan Lanning, if you watch him as an underdog 3 times, he's 1-2 against the spread and straight up. He gets in that third quarter and he tightens up and he starts going for it sometimes on 4th and short. So I like Ohio State. I just think they're the only team right now with no perceived weakness. And if they eat their Scooby snacks, they might get it done. Teams traveling cross country in the Big Ten, 1-7 so far, straight up, 3-5 against the spread. Ohio State 34-24.
I believe the only win, Indiana at woeful UCLA. But yes, it's the 2 time zone mark or more stat right now. Big Ten teams traveling in either direction, 2 or 3 time zones are 1-7 straight up. Ohio State trying to buck that trend.
Right. There we go.
Florida's trying to buck any trend right now because their trends are losing. Even though they won against UCF last week and pounded them, now comes a big boy, Tennessee. The number's 14.5, Lee. Can the Vols recover from their embarrassing loss that they had against Arkansas?
So they won last year. 2 years ago, they covered 38-33. I think they're coming together. Are they great? No, nothing special. But Graham Mertz starting to play at a high level here. Defensive line playing better. And, maybe Tennessee shell shock from that loss. Sometimes it takes a team a couple weeks to recover. I'm going to go with Florida here. I'm going to take the 14.5, some places 15 points. I think Tennessee wins the game, something like 28-20, but I think 2 touchdowns is just too much.
All right, to the pros we go. The Bucks facing a rookie quarterback in Spencer Rattler. They traveled to New Orleans early. They left Tuesday before Moulton to get there. Tampa Bay, 3.5 point road favorite against the Saints.
Good move. And also have an extra time to prepare because New Orleans is playing on Monday night. I would have gone with Jake Haener. I think he's the better option. Is he the better, passer, true passer? Maybe not. Doesn't have a strong arm as Rattler, but I think Haener has a really good understanding of the game. Always found him to be a smart quarterback and hits the right receiver more times than not. And Spencer Rattler takes more chances. The way to beat the Bucks is to throw the football. Atlanta did it 59 times. Didn't trailed, never led until overtime. But I don't think that New Orleans is going to be able to do that. They ran for 180 and 190 first 2 weeks and won and covered. But I don't think they're disciplined enough, and I think they got a bunch of injuries. Interior offensive line, not even close to where they were at the start of the year. I like the Bucks here, 24-13.
And finally, Detroit at Dallas. Detroit is a 3-point favorite, Lee.
Wow.
So to start the year, Detroit had to play 2 teams that they had defeated in the playoffs. I think they got dealt a really poor hand to start the year. Now some things are turning. They get to face a team that beat them during the season, Dallas, and CeeDee Lamb went wild in that game. He had 227 receiving yards. I think the Detroit secondary is much improved. Think that Dallas, not much of a home field advantage, haven't even won yet on the home turf. And On top of that, I think Detroit just has so many weapons. I mean, their running backs and receivers, next level. Even their second best receiver, Jamison, might be a number one on some teams. He's really starting to emerge, and their special teams hasn't cost them here. I like Detroit here. I think they win and cover 31-13 big.
Wow.
Yep.
The Lions as a road favorite against a perceived good team, certainly a perceived playoff team.
Yep.
And Lee's going with the Lions laying the 3. All right, your game of the week. Once again, you're picking the obscure games that nobody cares about. Texas and Oklahoma. How do they get it?
You guys ever been to this game before?
No.
Okay. Put it on your bucket list. I mean, when you walk in and you see Big Tex, he's been rebuilt. He burned down, I think, a few years back, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And now that the game, they're playing it at 3:30, you can get couple Fletcher's corny dogs. They are the best. Anyone wants to get it for free, call 800-400-9741. Give it to the first 10 callers, 800-400-9741. And for the first time ever, I'm going to include in the 5 for 55. We always do it on Sunday, but we don't put the units with it. I'm going to put the units with it, and I have a 40 and a 50 unit play going both Saturday and Sunday. We're now 68 and 24 lifetime on those games, 74%, 5 for 55, both Saturday and Sunday. Biggest special ever, ParamountSports.com.
800-400-9741. By the way, Texas, a 14.5-point favorite against Oklahoma. You can get that if you call Lee at 800-400-9741, ParamountSports.com, or on X at Paramount Sports. To review, Lee likes Cincinnati to upset UCF. He'll take Ohio State to win and cover. He'll take the Bucks to win and cover, the Lions to win and cover, and he's taken the Gators in the 14.5 to cover in Knoxville. Lee, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
You two guys have a good weekend. Be safe.
Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, on a bit of a roll, and he's pushing more chips in when he's winning. Look at that, giving you 2 40-plus unit plays Saturday, 2 40-plus unit plays Sunday. Wow. He's confident about these games. You and I had trouble just picking 5.
Got that right. I was crossing games out. I'm nervous about teams.
Wait, you were crossing games out?
I didn't have too many. No, I just, on my 5th game, I started right one. I'm like, no, I can't do it. I don't trust him enough. It's too many points. I'm gun shy, David. I went 0-4-1 last week.
I know. Got to get back out on the horse, baby. That's coming from me, who started the year 3-12.
You built it up to 14 and 19.
Yep. Since then, I'm 11-7, 5-2 week last week, back-to-back winning weeks. Oh yeah, we're feeling it, but not a lot of bets this week. Not feeling it this week. I do not have a good read, particularly on the NFL this week.
I have one more NFL pick than I do college pick. The Saturdays have been killing me. I'm going right to Sundays.
Yeah, I got 4 Saturday plays. I only have 1 NFL play. It's not even in the mainland.
Looks like we're picking one of the same NFL games then.
Okay. JP Shadrick, by the way, will join us from not on the mainland in less than 2 hours. It'll be 2 in the afternoon for JP when we talk to him across the pond and see how things are going.
That's great because we're going to have him via video. We had Jeff Cameron on the phone, but this is our first video link up off continent. I'm kind of fired up about that.
Yeah, ever. I mean, who knows? Maybe between now and then we get it sponsored.
It's possible. 21,000 is the text line. We'll take all offers right now. I'll negotiate. David will not. That's how this works.
So our Fab Five is coming up next, and then we'll go through the big college games of the day. And Pat Kirwan will join us coming up at the top of the next hour. It's a Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floormeisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floormeisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family. This is Miller and Moulton.
Feeney, very sorry to hear about how things are going, but yeah, we were thinking about you and everyone else in Charlotte County, and yeah, we're trying to just be a distraction. All the best to you, Feeney. Well, Boxberg, it's funny. I saw as many people had more problems with Volpe handling the slide. Okay, because he kind of threw a right forearm in there, but I think he was doing it just to push the guy away from the base. But yes, there's no doubt. If we show that as people getting bent out of shape with versus the McRae slide and the Randolph. Yes. We've changed a little bit in 45 years. Okay, music. They've got 5.5 months. I don't know if they can fix it in that time. But here's my question. What other stadium? Where are you playing Major League Baseball? I mean, what? You're going to go Steinbrenner Field that holds 10,000?
Be perfect. They might sell out every game.
I mean, that would be my question. Where? Well, no, the Rays don't want to inconvenience themselves that much. I mean,
Montreal.
hello. I think if they're forced to move, that they would play in Miami. I don't think they want them playing at a minor league facility. Bad enough the A's are in Sacramento. Plus, I think it might depend, like if they're only filling in for a couple weeks.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us coming up at the top of the hour on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We know many of you had a tough time over these last 48 hours. We're just trying to be as somewhat entertaining and as big a distraction as possible. Don't like to, quote the cliches, a sense of normalcy. For some of you, that's not going to be the case for a while, but we're here and we're doing our normal show. But obviously, we have you in our thoughts, and we know that many of you have gone through a lot here in the last couple of days, never mind the couple of weeks before that. So, yeah. Battered, bruised, and still staggering.
Yeah, this is enough already.
Right.
Enough.
Yep. I hear you. Lee Sterling just made his picks. Now it's time for us to make ours. I went 5-2 last week.
That means you lead off. I went 0-4.
I do not have a good read about the NFL this week. In years past, Mark, I would have bet 11 to 13 games this week because I just would have taken home dogs. And there are a lot of them in the NFL. A lot of them. And I probably would have taken them all. And just because then I would have been guaranteed a winning week. Because home dogs for the longest time were a great play in the NFL. Now, with home field advantage not meaning much, if you're taking a home dog, you're taking the inferior team. And you need to justify why. So I'm going to start with Sundays because I literally have one pick. The game's not in the United States, correct?
Correct.
Well, then I like the Jags. The Jags are really good when they get on the plane. And they know how to handle the travel and the preps, and they know it. They do it every year. They do a minimum of one game. Lately, they've been doing 2 games a year there, just like they're going to do this year. So it's a virtual pick 'em. And I know, listen, Caleb's playing better. He is. All right. The Bears are beginning to look like the team that some of us thought they were going to be, which is to challenge for a playoff spot, 9-10 win type of team. But I like the Jags this week. And the Jags, The Jags know they can get back in this season by the time they get back on the plane and return home to the States. They got the Bears and then the Patriots. The Jags are looking around going, listen, we could be 3-4. And take a look at the AFC standings. 3-4 puts us back in play in a big way. I like the Jags. I'm getting a point. Listen, I'm either going to have a great week or I'm going to have your week from last week, because I got a bunch of teams that are just better and they're laying small lines. And either I'm being suckered and they're drawing me in and they're going to sledgehammer me over the top. But Penn State's better than USC. USC can't block Penn State. I know USC's played tougher competition. They beat LSU. They lost to Michigan by 3. Their 2 losses this year are both by 3. And Penn State's got to beat them and cover 3.5. I like the Nittany Lions. I just think they're better. There are 4 guys on Penn State that I don't think USC can block. Lincoln Riley's going to have an elite play caller day, or those 2 tackles are going to have to play at a much higher level than they've been playing. And I don't think they can do it. I like Penn State laying the 3.5 on the road at USC. These 2 teams haven't played in 8 years. All right. Mark, Pitt's undefeated, right?
Yes, they are.
They're home against Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Cal, the last time they went on the road, couldn't beat Florida State, right?
Right.
Why is Pitt only a 3-point favorite? This, to me, is, I think I'm walking into the biggest sucker play of the day. To me, Pitt should be between 6 and 9-point favorite. Give me Pitt. I'm laying the 3 against Cal.
And you just hope you're not walking into a bear trap?
Totally. Nice. Well done. Well played there. The Bears of Cal, if you don't know. Okay, help me out here. BYU's unbeaten, right?
Correct.
They're at home, right?
Right.
Okay, they're playing Arizona. Arizona's had some mixed results. One of them, I mean, they did go in and beat Utah. Okay, I mean, so they can play. I don't know, man. BYU at home. I only have to lay 3. Give me the Cougars. And this is the biggest bounce back pick of the week. Missouri playing UMass. Now, listen, none of us thought Missouri was a top 10 team in the country, even though that's where they were ranked. That was based on what they did last year and their schedule. And Texas A&M exposed them a little bit. Okay. UMass is bad. UMass is one of the 10 worst Division 1A teams in the country. I know it's a big number, and I never lay points like this. I'm laying 27 with the Tigers. I think they've got it covered by halftime, and my only concern is, do they just take the foot off the gas and allow a backdoor cover? So I'm going 4 college, 1 pro.
I'm going, and congratulations on only picking 5, David. That's impressive.
Thank you.
I don't know if that hurts or helps your run that you've been on, because you've been picking a lot of games and you've been pretty successful in doing so, but limiting to 5 is something else. I picked on the college slate. I went to some bigger games.
Okay.
I heard the stat there about how well the Big Ten teams are doing going on the road, and I feel like I'm picking the wrong side of this. But I think the Buckeyes have the best roster in the Big Ten, if not the best roster in the country.
Okay.
Oregon has not been great at the line of scrimmage. I think the Buckeyes will dominate there. Give me Ohio State, and I'll lay the 3. LSU's getting 3.5 at home. They can score. I think this is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a wild game, but I think LSU wins outright, and Ole Miss loses 2 in a row. Give me LSU plus the 3.5. Now I've got 3 on Sunday. A little bit of a theme to the first 2. New Orleans is starting Spencer Rattler. First time ever starting in the NFL. I don't think that bodes well for him. I'll take Tampa and lay the 3.5. I think Bowles will blitz and show him things that he's never seen before that will cause mistakes, and New Orleans cannot score enough to keep in the game. Give me Tampa and lay the 3.5. I'm doing the same thing with Houston. They're going to New England, and they're laying 6.5. Drake May's getting his first start. I don't see it going well for the rookie quarterback. You look at how all the other rookies played early. They didn't throw a lot of touchdowns, if any. They struggled in the early games. Drake may find himself, but I don't think it'll be in his first start against Houston. I'll lay the 6.5. And David, I'm with you. The London Jags.
Uh-oh.
Adam in our Twitch chat room just went into the fetal position because both Miller and Moulton are picking the Jags. I'll take the 1 point that the Jags are getting against Chicago in the home game for the London Jags as they are continuing to find a way to get right and try to crawl back into a playoff race. Give me the Jags.
So there you have it. And I applaud you, by the way, for your 2 college picks being games of, teams both ranked in the top 15. I applaud you, as opposed to me taking Pitt, Cal, BYU, Arizona, Missouri, UMass.
You got Penn State and USC in there. That's
They're through one, but I mean, you went with the big boys, if you will. There's like 5 marquee games this week. You picked 2 of them. Good for you.
I don't think we can knock you, David. You picked a Big 10 game, an ACC game, a Big 12 game, and an SEC game.
You're spinning that as positively as you can. I really appreciate it. We'll come back. We'll talk about the college slate, a little bit of the NFL, and including Colorado and K-State. All right. Surprised, actually, neither one of us has that in our picks this week. But Pat Kirwan in a half an hour right here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambient, we are scheduled to be doing Cleveland at Denver on December 2nd. I don't think we're going to. I have an inkling that we're going to opt out of the game, that the Browns' struggles will have it so that we will select a better game. Houston's at Jacksonville that week. There's I think a Steelers-Bengals game that we could get our hands on. Give me a second. I actually wrote it down. Yeah, Steelers at Bengals. Now I know the Bengals are 1-4, so maybe not. But Houston's in Jacksonville. Pittsburgh's at Cincy. I don't know. Games that I think we could get our hands on that won't be protected by the other networks. It's complicated. So I just, we opted out of a Kansas City at New England game last year. DC, I don't think we're in Chicago. I mean, I'm flying through O'Hare all the time, but I believe the one Bears game that we're going to have on Monday Night Football is in Minnesota. But then again, we may be stuck with Broncos because the week afterwards, like I said, we may do Steelers Bengals. Well, we got the Bengals the following week in Dallas. That beat Cincy on Monday Night Football 3 times and back to back. They'd have to get hot, I think, for us to go that route. Yeah, Monday Night Football beginning last year has the option that they can, in the last 5-6 weeks of the year, they can basically raise their hand and say, we don't want this game, we want another one. Now, the question becomes, what are their options, though? You got a Thursday night game, you got a Sunday night game, you got games that Fox and CBS can protect. I mean,
and then you got the limit of how many times people can be in prime, so you can't pass that over.
But right now we're scheduled December 2nd to do Cleveland at Denver, which would be very convenient for me because I'm in LA on Saturday, November 30th, most likely for Notre Dame USC. So it'd be a quick flight. My best friend lives in, a half hour away. It'd be great for me. Yeah, DC, I do think it's 2-week notice that they'd have to give. So it's mid-November. We'd have to give notice. Sunday Night Football can opt out. I think it's beginning week 8 or 9. So the whole second half of the season, Sunday Night Football can raise their hand and go, no, we're taking a different game. Now, they can't take a game that's scheduled on Thursday or that's scheduled on Monday that week. And there are certain games that Fox and CBS can protect. But five years ago, went to Denver for a Thursday night game. Kansas City and the Broncos. Don't think we've been back since. We did a couple of Denver on the road. Russell Wilson's first game in Seattle. Thought we had another Russ game that year. Yes. No. Yes, Finns. They would move if Monday Night Football opts out of the game, then that game.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until Pat Kirwan joins us to talk all things NFL on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And since we're going to talk heavy NFL, we'll talk mostly college football right now. Don't want to forget baseball playoffs. 2 of the 4 championship series teams are set. The 2 New York teams. Yankees will be at home. Mets will be in California. Mets find out tonight whether or not they're playing the Dodgers or the Padres. Yankees find out tomorrow night whether they're playing the Guardians or the Tigers. And before we get to the football, as a Tigers fan, obviously you're bummed. Got a 3-2 lead in the seventh. Guy comes off the bench. It's a 2-run homer. You end up losing.
I don't know, 2 count.
But also, I think realistically, you're thrilled that they've made the playoffs. You're thrilled that they won the first round against Houston of all teams. And you're excited as heck that they have done what they've done here in the division series. But as a fan, we all start, you start getting a little greedy. Start going, I don't know, man, are we going to do this? Well, your best chance to do this, I think, went away last night. Because now you got to pitch Skubal in Game 5 against Cleveland. He can't pitch before Game 3 against the Yankees. And basically your Skubal and chaos philosophy. I mean, if Skubal's only going to pitch one of the first 6 games against the Yankees, do you think you can force a Game 7?
No.
Right.
I don't. But this team has shown unbelievable resilience how they played the last month. The bullpen's doing things that no one expects. And these guys don't. I think they believe they can do it because they're just young and dumb.
Yeah. And AJ Hinch has convinced them they can. We've talked about this before. The confidence that a coach, a manager can give a team to overachieve. And I definitely think that AJ Hinch is giving that to the youngest team in baseball that's playing right now by a wide margin.
You got one guy on the team with playoff experience. One.
Right. I mean, half the team is rookies, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's remarkable. But if you're getting greedy, which all fan bases getting greedy, you're up 4-3 with 2 outs in the 7th, and you're going, oh, my goodness, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to send Skubal to the hill against the Yankees in the Bronx. We're going to get up 1-0 because they can't pitch Cole, and this will be fantastic. And then Game 5, let's just say the series is tied at 2. We'll send Skubal to the hill again, and this will be great. We'll go back to the Bronx with a chance to win. Come on, tell me your mind didn't go there.
Oh, absolutely. Because the guy they brought in to pitch had done a fantastic job, hadn't given up any runs in the postseason.
Right.
And he's got an 0-2 count here on David Fry, and Fry goes yard on him. It was crushing.
All right, let's go all the big college games. You took Ohio State in your picks, so you like them. Right now, if I gave you Ohio State or the field, who would you take for the Natty?
For the Natty. I would take the field because I think there's enough parity at the top, David.
If I gave you Ohio State and Texas versus the field.
Ooh. I may take that.
Okay.
Would you take that, by the way?
No, because of Georgia. I think there's a big 3, and I'd be very surprised if someone not named Ohio State, Texas, or Georgia won the Natty. But because Georgia wasn't included in the question, I wouldn't take the bet.
All right. Fair enough. Georgia goes to Texas here in a couple of weeks.
No, I know. And they might play a couple 2-3 times this year, for all we know. By the way, do you think this is the first of multiple meetings between Ohio State and Oregon?
Well, I definitely think they're playing twice. I don't know about 3, but I definitely think they'll play again for the Big Ten championship.
Oregon gets them at home. They're both unbeaten. Ohio State a 3-point favorite. For the record, Oregon goes to Michigan in early November. They go to Wisconsin in mid-November. And we bring it up because of the travel stat that we referenced earlier this hour. It's early, but teams traveling in both directions in the Big Ten, 2 or more time zones. So Pacific, east to central or east or central going to Pacific, straight up 2 or more time zones. Teams are 1-7. So that's what Penn State and Ohio State are facing, among other things, this week. All right. Penn State, USC. Do you have enough faith that this Penn State team, because this looks like about an 8-win USC team, that this Penn State team can beat this USC team, yes or no?
Point you made about their defensive lines, very accurate, David, but I think USC wins this football game because Penn State is unable to score enough to put them away early. USC hangs around and wins the game in the fourth quarter. I think you get a great game, David.
Coliseum will be sold out. Be a little different atmosphere than what we had a couple of weeks ago against Wisconsin. All right. You mentioned it. You included it in your plays. This is a sneaky, really good, really significant game that is not getting a lot of press. Ole Miss at LSU. Remember, LSU's loss is non-conference. They beat Ole Miss. They remain unbeaten in the SEC, and Ole Miss would have 2 conference losses.
With Oklahoma and Georgia still on the schedule for the Rebels.
Ole Miss, 3.5 point road favorite against the top 15 LSU team.
And LSU still has games at A&M, home for Bama, home for Oklahoma left on the schedule. This is a must-win game for both teams. It really is, David, because I don't know if they can – well, first off, I don't think they can get in with 3 losses. But to me, they both have another loss on their schedule. So whoever loses this game puts themselves in a real bind to make the college football playoff.
Kansas State at Deion and the Buffaloes. It's a 10:15 kick Eastern time. So it's on the 4-letter network. Hey, Deion and the Buffaloes have gotten huge ratings between 10P and 2A Eastern time, 9P, 1A Central time in the last couple of years. Huge ratings. So we'll see if this one also delivers. The start of it will be up against Ohio State, Oregon. But Deion and the Buffaloes getting 3.5.
I don't have enough faith in K-State to take them in this game. I was going to lay the 3.5, David, but it's in Colorado. I think that's a factor in this game. And Colorado, what they did in the last game against Central Florida shows me that they can block a little bit more. Tougher task to block K-State than it was to block UCF, but I do like the way they played at both lines of scrimmage. They've shown improvement in the area that they had to improve in.
I don't know why I don't have the courage to take Colorado, especially since I'm getting points. I think it's going to be a lot like your thoughts on LSU Ole Miss. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be close. And why is it that I didn't pick Colorado? Because K-State on the road, how much confidence can we really have in K-State on the road, considering their first big road performance this year was a total dud? If I had to pick it, if I had to do over again, Mark, I'd include it in my Fab 5. I think I like Deion and the Buffaloes to win, at which point they'll be ranked. Because they're
undefeated in conference.
Correct. They're one of 5 Big 12 unbeatens. So this is a key game. K-State at Colorado. All right. I'll be very curious how the Gators do in Knoxville. Tennessee, by the way, has Alabama looming the following week. But, I mean, none of us think Florida's going to upset them, even though with what's happened the last 2 weeks, including one of those to Tennessee, who as a 13-point favorite, they lost. Now here they are a 14.5-point favorite. But I'm curious. Tennessee offensively, even when they beat Oklahoma, they didn't put it in the end zone very often. They struggled offensively against Arkansas. Can this Gators defense give a representative effort, keep them under 30, to give them a chance to compete in this game?
David, a couple of things about the games you talked about. I think Arkansas is far better at the line of scrimmage than the Gators. I think Oklahoma defensively is in a different class than the Gators are defensively when you talk about Tennessee's problems on offense. Agreed. I think Tennessee's offense gets going against Florida. I if I were to redo my picks, I'd probably take Tennessee and lay the points here. The only thing that gives me a little bit of apprehension is the fact that you just mentioned Tennessee's got Alabama next week.
This is why I have such an uneasy feeling about the NFL this week. And we'll make our straight up NFL picks much later in the show. But Saints, 3.5-point home dog. Giants, 3.5-point home dog to the Bengals. Saints, by the way, are hosting the Bucs. Patriots, 6.5 to 7-point home dog to the Texans. All right. Denver, winners of 3 in a row.
Right.
A 3-point home dog to the Chargers.
Yeah, those wins have really impressed Vegas.
Yeah, obviously not at all. The Raiders, a 3-point home dog to the Steelers, who are slumping and offensively challenged. The Cowboys, a 3-point home dog to the Lions. Yes, do most of us think Detroit's a better team than Dallas right now? Yes. But, Mark, what's the difference between the Detroit Lions and the Penn State Nittany Lions lately? How many times have the Lions won a big game? Never mind on the road.
That's a tremendous point, David. I can't find the last big road win for the Lions.
And until the Cowboys just lost back-to-back home games, the Cowboys hadn't lost a home game in 2.5 years. And then, of course, Carolina, because they're terrible, they're a 6-point home dog to Atlanta. And the Jets are a 2.5-point home dog on Monday Night Football to the Bills. Over half the games, home underdogs. That's highly unusual. And it wasn't that long ago, Mark, in which you would just take them all.
Every one of them. And I played against 2 of them in my picks.
Now, we've documented, and we're not the only ones, that home field advantage really isn't one. Vegas has already narrowed it down to 1.5 when they're figuring out the number. And we tell you every week how the home teams are doing. And the home teams are only a few games above 500. And by the way, that's everywhere. We kept track of this in the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. I mean, so far in the baseball playoffs, I believe home teams are 8-8 so far in the baseball playoffs. Both leagues, 8-8. Or that's just 8-8 in the division series. Sorry, Mark, because it's 3-5 in the AL and it was 5-3 in the NL. And then you can do the math accordingly. I actually think home teams might be below 500 so far.
They are
in the baseball playoffs.
I think they are.
Yeah, because the Royals went 2-0 and the Tigers went 2-0. So there's 4-0. Right. Mets went 2-1 against Milwaukee. They're 6-1. And then what was the other series there? Oh, San Diego went 2-0 at home. So, yeah, so far right now, home teams are 11-14 in the baseball playoffs. I mean, you come to your own conclusions as to why, but home field doesn't mean much anymore outside of college hoop.
And we'll see how long that lasts because the transfer portal is alive and well in that sport, which will take some of the home field advantage away as teams load up and do what they do.
But brought all that up because Pat Kirwan's in the on-deck circle. He'll join us in 10 minutes. And there's nothing that gets by Pat, and we're very curious as to all these home dogs, as to how Pat sees these games, whether it's just a coincidence and he's just going to take the quote-unquote better teams, or quite frankly, not. Like, don't you think this is a huge game for the Steelers? They can't do what the Seahawks just did, start 3-0 and be 3-3. We talked about how difficult their second half schedule is. They have to get as much accomplished before November 1st as possible. They're in Vegas. I mean, come on. That defense has to shut down the Raiders, right? Pat Kirwan talking all things NFL next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The world famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world famous cigar bar.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, Mark.
Morning, Pat.
What is that? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear us?
It's a little in and out.
All right, I hear you just fine, Pat.
Okay, great. Here comes the big guy. Let's go. Airport's open there, David? Oh, he's not on yet.
Got to be honest, there was enough on TV last night. I wasn't all that into the football game. Watched a little baseball, watched a little hockey last night.
I don't like this sound.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the best connection, Pat. You're kind of spinning.
Yeah, I know. I just worried about it myself.
Is that better now? Can you hear us better?
I hear you now. I hear you fine, but a minute ago it was in and out again.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I hope this is all right. Damn it. Why? Start talking, Mark.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that better or worse?
Yeah. David, can you hear me?
I sure can, Pat.
It's a little better. Oh, good. It's on my end. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at the strength of the signal. It's up a little bit now.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we'll make this happen.
We'll muscle through it.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you got going on the home dogs. Do you recall a week with 9 of them, David or Mark?
No. This is
5's a lot. 4's a lot.
yeah. Tough to remember a week with more than 6. It just.
Yeah, I got a couple of points to make on that.
Good. Did you hear anything from West Bay? Did they take on any water?
We got through good.
Good.
Like after I talked to you, and then my brother-in-law is down there, and he didn't leave. He stayed. He didn't go with the evacuation thing.
Good. All right.
So
Here
he
we
was
go.
right there. Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And that means it's time for Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. Weekdays 3 to 7, Saturdays 2 to 5. Then on Sundays, he helps the guys at CBS put the NFL Today show together. He joins us on the American Paint Supplies hotline, a one-stop shop for all your coating needs. And Pat's appearances twice a week during the season are brought to you courtesy of Pinchers. Well, how are you? Did you hear us talking about the 9 home dogs this week?
I did. And I'm glad we were on that topic because what have we been together? 20 years?
Yeah.
I don't think we've had 9 home dogs before. Mark would remember if we did. No. So a couple of thoughts on all that stuff. First off, there's only 2 teams playing this weekend that have a winning record at home. And one of them lost already. So you start thinking about Chicago has a winning record at home, and Seattle did, and they lost. So you're down to 1 left with a winning record at home. Then you look at all the 0-2. It's amazing. And David's been crying the whole thing about home field's gone, and it is gone. But you've got 5 teams playing at home that are 0-2 at home. The Dallas Cowboys, the Panthers, forget them, the Giants, Tennessee, New England. So there is no home field advantage right now. And then I track how many 300-yard games we have passing every week. To me, it's it's kind of strange because we started out slow. Week 1, 2 guys. Week 2, 3 guys. Week 3, 5. Week 4, 5. And what happened last week? 9. Out of nowhere, the passing game, Cowher keeps talking about this, the passing game will come alive in the second quarter of the season. So I think when you start seeing people throwing the ball and doing what they're doing, I think it factors in, and I don't think people care where the good quarterbacks are playing. They don't. They just say, the best quarterback on the field is on a visiting team, home dog. So when you get 9 guys last week, what an explosion if you think about that. It was 2 and 3 is 5, and then the third week was 5. So that's 10. It took 3 weeks to get 10 guys to do it, and then we had 9 last week. So I think that's part of it. I think home field is, a lot of players say to me, I love playing on the road. They don't like playing at home. The home field thing means families there. The whole shooting match, because one guy said to me this week, the only time I get any sleep is on the road in a hotel room. So maybe there's something to that too, but we'll see if it carries on all year. But we're in a very strange spot with these games. And
Well, very quickly before Mark jumps in and we start going through games, if you were running a team today, it's an extra expense and all that, but would you make sure that you Saturday night house your guys even at home, take them, because guys early in the season, they don't like that. They want to be home, what have you, because they catch grief that they're not home and that the head coach and the GM want to bring them to a hotel on Saturday night. Would you do that?
Well, we always did that, and we had geographical problems, right? When I was at the Jets, our facility was on Long Island and the games were in New Jersey. So somehow on Sunday, we'd have to drive past, 15 million people to get to our stadium. So we made sure we were on the other side of the George Washington Bridge and in a hotel close. But I do think there's merit to putting the team and get them away. I could care less if the wife and the kids are crying, Daddy's not home. It's the way it is. And it's a business trip. They love saying it. So let's act like it's a business trip. They'd be in a hotel every week. And Pete Carroll, that guy believes you should go to the hotel on Friday. And I see that Seattle has followed suit on that. And there's a couple more teams doing it. They go for 2 nights on all road trips. And on some home games, if they think there's distractions, he'll pull them out early. And the players, they get more rest. They certainly get into the cycle of the time zone they're in. I heard you talking about colleges, east to west, west to east. Believe me, west to east is the hardest one. And Seattle beat that. They figured that out 15 years ago, and to go check their record under Pete. But they always left on Friday at lunchtime.
All right, the Bucs had to leave very early out of necessity with Moulton bearing down on Tampa, but now they get a backup or a third-string quarterback. They had extra time in New Orleans. I think this all bodes well for the Bucs, Pat.
I do too, and the Saints are going to play without their quarterback, and that alone would be a reason I would not take the Saints. And Spencer Rattler, I saw him at the Senior Bowl for a week. Nice kid. Looks like he's got a little something to him, but I don't think he's got a chance. Todd Bowles, and the way he thinks about playing defense, you tell me, how much pressure do you think this kid's going to be under?
A ton.
Lot. Yeah.
It'll
look like there's 13 guys on defense the way he's going to do it.
Well, and the Saints now and the Seahawks, the Saints 2-0 and first 15 possessions this year, they scored. The Seahawks got off to the 3-0 start. And then even when they lost in Detroit, they went punch for punch with one of the big time contenders in the NFC. And then it's funny how quickly you look at the Saints now, and even with Carr, you're like, wow, there's not a lot of weaponry there if you keep Kamara in check. Look at Seattle all of a sudden. I mean, it's funny how quickly things change in this league.
Well, is there a better example than last year's Philadelphia Eagles? What were they, 10-1? And then down the hill they went. And there was no stopping the mudslide. Jacksonville, what happened to them?
Yep.
You never know. It's early to think it's over or they're on a slide they can't get out of. But it's not a good sign when you see what you see. But again, two teams at home with a winning record. Who's dominating in this league? The best 2 teams were on a bye this week. So, without Kansas City and Minnesota around, we're kind of looking at the rest of the league and maybe how mediocre it is.
Ooh, you think the league's mediocre right now?
Well, do you want me to read all the records of what they are?
I understand the records, but there are teams like San Francisco that I don't think's mediocre. They're 3-3.
I agree with that.
The Ravens don't have a great record. They're not mediocre. They're game over 500.
Yeah, and that they are beatable, but that's 2. I look at the rest. Like I said the other day, tell me you got any locks as wild cards in these conferences? I look around and go, that wild card race is wide open, and especially, and I think it's the NFC. I could name 8 teams that are in the Of these wild card potential teams, let's see: Seattle, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Dallas, San Francisco. San Francisco will win the division now. Chicago, Philly. Chicago's just a mediocre young team. They're in a 6th seed right now. So I do think it's fairly mediocre.
Is Detroit at the point where they go to Dallas and they win because they're the better team, even though the Cowboys outside of this year have been very tough at home? Dak and CD's numbers at home better than on the road. But, I mean, Detroit's a 3-point favorite, and they've looked better this year. Do you think the Lions are ready to just show up, business trip it, and head home?
I do think they are. And I'll tell you, and what are the 2 things we look for when we talk about road teams? Can you play defense? Can you run the ball? They can run the ball. They're at, I think, 150 yards a game running the ball. So when you have that, and of course, Goff and his weapons, but if you can run the ball and play defense, and maybe there's another sign of mediocrity. Hutchinson's still leading the league in sacks, and he's coming off a bye. So I think they can run the ball, and I think they play defense well enough. And the Dallas Cowboys cannot run the ball.
The Chargers and the Broncos game intrigues me just because of the point spread. Here are the Broncos, who have won with 3 in a row, and they're at home against the Chargers, and Vegas is telling you the Chargers are a 3-point favorite. Do you have any idea why? And I know you don't care about the line so much, but you pay attention to them. Why are the Chargers favored in this game?
They shouldn't be. The quarterback is not 100%. He'll play. He plays through injuries. Bosa's hurt all the time. People do not believe that Bo Nix and the offense really are ready to do what they have to do to be a good football team. They're the 28th ranked offense, and they're playing the number 5 defense. I think the Charger defense is one I don't study enough. If you said to me, guess what they are, and me not paying attention to them, I'd say, I don't know, 15th. They're number 5. I just think that people are not buying Bo Nix yet.
Over under on this game's 35.5.
There's a good point. We have 3 games that are at the 50 line. And we've had a couple of weeks with nobody at 50 points. And last night, what do we have? 60 points in a game. Back to those quarterbacks. 9 of them thrown over 300 yards last week. I'd be really interested in taking the overs most of the games this week.
What are we to make of the Arizona Cardinals? They're 2-3. They went to Buffalo, nearly won. They won in San Francisco. Now, Detroit handled them by running it right down their throat. But they go into Green Bay. They've shown they play well everywhere. And this year, they've actually won a couple.
They're spoilers. I don't think they're good. Well, you might disagree with me, and that's great. But I don't think of them as a playoff team, but I think of them as the all-time spoilers right now. And if I looked at the AFC, I could maybe conclude there's a spoiler in there too. But Arizona, you got one problem all the time. If you can't contain Kyler Murray, you're going to lose to those guys. And if you can, then I think one of their losses, he had 1 carry for 3 yards. So it's the Kyler Murray dimension makes them a dangerous team at times. I just think they're a spoiler crowd, and that's how I see them. You guys. Now, I know people who think they're going to get as a wild card. I do not. Do you?
I don't.
No.
Thank you.
No, I think they're a year away.
But I do think they're dangerous.
But once again, you would think Arizona going to Green Bay would be like a 6-7 point favorite. The line's 4.5.
And that line went down. It opened up Sunday night at 5.5. I always put the first line down that comes up on Sunday night because I like to see the tempo of that as the week goes on. And I think it's gone down for the reason we just had this discussion. If you see him as a spoiler, you don't love him, but you're afraid of him. And I think that's why that line tightens down.
He's Pat Kirwan. He joins us twice a week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. We'll go through the rest of the Week 6 schedule with Pat Kirwan on the other side. JP Shadrick will join us in 45 minutes from London. Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 239-382-7332. Again, that's 239-382-7332. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and can lead to amputation.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Norrell, DC. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs.
Pick up the phone right now and call 239-382-7332. Call us today at Restore Health. 239-382-7332.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Fortunately, only like I said, I only lost power for about 3 hours.
Nice.
Got pretty lucky there.
Well, I was worrying about your cage around your pool. And you told me right away, the cage is fine.
Cage is fine. Had everything, pulled off the cage. So, what yesterday became pressure watching the pool cage.
Yeah.
Wife's like, it'd be a good day to clean it out there. I said, I knew you were going to say that.
I'm on my way, dear. And what, David, you got wind. Is that what you got?
Yeah, we got very lucky. There was some storm surge and, the normal areas that flood, whether it be from the St. Johns River or close enough to the Atlantic, there was some flooding, a few more power outages than I thought that there would be. But yeah, Jacksonville made out really well. And if you look at what's there, 5 hurricanes that have touched Florida this year, and none of their paths, the guts of the storm went through Jacksonville. So this area got very lucky this year.
I'll tell you what was scary, Pat, is that we had tornadoes on the outer banks. And it's like 3 in the afternoon. I'm watching the television, and they're like, there was one basically at Coconut Point Mall, and you're going, oh, okay, well, this is fun. Because you can't do a damn thing about that.
No. I heard on the news there were 126 recorded tornadoes in Florida.
Oh my goodness.
There was on the East
6 or 7. There were 6 or 7 at one time in Lee County.
There was one
that was 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep. There was one in the neighborhood I used to live in, tore up a home 7 blocks from where we were.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, what did one of the guys on the news say? People that live in Florida call this a hurricane. They go, well, don't you want to move? The guy's answer was great. He goes, no, this is called the hurricane tax. That's what this is.
We paid our fair share, though. Man, enough.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Need a reprieve.
As long as the Gulf gets to 90 degrees in the water, it's going to always be around.
Yep.
I remember, and you grew up on the East Coast, David, up by us. I remember hurricanes coming up the ocean side way more than crossing in the Gulf. They'd come up the ocean side. When I was a kid, when some of the most horrendous hurricanes came right up the Atlantic coast and blew up New York, Jersey, everything.
Yeah, I always remembered hurricanes hitting the Carolinas, from watching on the news.
The Outer Banks and everyone getting crushed.
Yep.
Yep. How about Nick Bosa? How hard does that guy play every down? Him, Crosby, and TJ Watt, their motors are 8-cylinder, man. The rest of us are on 4 cylinders.
Hutch is getting there, too.
Yes, he is.
I don't think he's in their league, but he plays with that motor.
Yep, he plays hard. It's just remarkable to play that hard. They kept closing in on Nick's face last night. He was out of oxygen quite a bit.
Well, I think that team knew how important last night was.
Yeah, well, and they got a nice 3 or 4 turnovers from the other bozos.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show, joining us courtesy of Pinchers. Well, we all knew, Pat, that week 6, when the Commanders were visiting the Ravens, that Washington would enter the game with the better record. In many ways, this is the game that intrigues me the most because, well, Baltimore at times has struggled defensively this year. And that quarterback, we all think is legit, and that offense is legit. So can Washington go into Baltimore and give them a game?
Heck yeah. These two quarterbacks, just look at them as X factors. Between the two of them, they have 650 yards rushing or something. So they both bring the dimension of run to the game. I think, quite honestly, Jaden has a better passing arm than Lamar. He's got it. And yes, they can. I talked to Dan Quinn a couple times this week, and we're going to do a big feature on Dan on Sunday. And mainly because Matt Ryan played for him, and I know him since he was a kid, really. But yes, they absolutely can give him a game. Now, because of Derrick Henry and the way they can pound you to death with the Lamar and Derrick Henry, I'm going to take Baltimore in the game. But I think the game's got a chance to have lead changes multiple times. And I think we're going to find out that we're going to all still believe that Washington will win their division.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I think on this show 3 weeks ago, I said, why not Washington? And at the time, it was just conjecture. But the quarterback has solidified for me that they could do it. So, that we say this too a lot. There are certain losses that keep me encouraged that the team's pretty good, and this is going to be one of them. I think Washington is going to go toe-to-toe and maybe not be able to finish it. That's why I'll take Baltimore. But I think I'm going to believe more strongly that they're going to be the division champ.
Well, Philadelphia wants to say something about that. They've got an opportunity to have a get-right game with Cleveland. They're a monster favorite in the game, but isn't it time the Eagles just give us a performance that makes us look at them and say, okay, they can win the division?
Yeah, I think this is more and more how I see Philly. they hired Fangio to fix the defense, and it's okay, but it's still nothing great. And the back end of that defense, and those 2 tackles up front, the 2 Georgia kids. John Gruden came on my show and said they're really talented and they're out of shape. That was John. So I started watching them 3 weeks ago with John's eye. And when you look at them, well, what do you see between the 2 of them? 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 3 hits on the quarterback. So they've got great reputation, but they're not producing what they should. This team wins when Hurts runs. That's his only dimension that makes them different. His average arm. The running game is okay. The offensive line is still pretty good, but when Jalen runs, and he runs a lot, and I just looked at where's the break line, it's 14 runs. If he'll run 14 times in a game, that sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot for Jalen Hurts. His record's 10-1. Anything 14 or more, and that's who they have to be. They start fooling around with 5 runs by him, or when he was hurt late last year when he couldn't run and they couldn't beat anybody. That's the dimension they need. Look, we'll go back to Washington. I think they can beat you without Jalen running the ball. But I don't think Philadelphia can win unless our friend Hurts runs the ball.
How much I understand the contract, we all do, but you run the risk of losing the locker room. I mean, if Deshaun Watson keeps performing like this, can the Browns as an organization, because none of us think that Kevin Stefanski is making the call here, but can the Browns as an organization keep sending him out as the starter if he's going to keep performing like this?
Well, I think the 3 of us wouldn't do it.
No.
He'd be on the bench by now.
Yes.
But you're asking if that organization, I think they're going to go down with the ship on this because of $230 million. And look, they showed us their true colors. Flacco wanted to stay. And we all know he wasn't going to be allowed to stay. Why? They didn't want the cheers for Flacco at the stands, which would have been loud and clear 2 weeks ago. So they basically said, we're going to protect him. And they bring in Jameis. And I don't think they're going to feel like Jameis is going to do any better, whether he will or not. They're just not going to take that chance. So I think the 3 of us are going to look at this and scratch our heads going, they're still doing it.
Pat, I know it's Monday night, but we haven't talked since Saleh was fired. And, Aaron's now done a couple of interviews where he talked to the owner, but they didn't talk about the coach. He doesn't have that much say on play calling, apparently. And, he's just going to go along with whatever the new coach says. I don't buy any of it. I don't think any of us that have a brain buy that much of it. But how much will this coaching change help, hurt, do anything for the Jets?
I don't think it's going to do very much at all. Now, the change of the play caller is interesting. If we all, and our historians, David, on this one, but think of all the times there was confrontations with Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. And then he had to pull the OC because Aaron was manipulating him. Aaron and the new coach who's up there now. Aaron, look, he's a Hall of Fame guy who thinks he sees the game from the field better than the coaches. What are they going to do? Send him out there, Mark, without audibles? No. And if you send him out with audibles, guess who's called the plays? The guy under center. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to do much to help at this point. And mainly, and I'm not bashing Rodgers here, but he's beat up. 8 sacks and 21 hits on the quarterback in the last 2 weeks. He is not 100%. We saw him beat New England, and what happened to me? I'll just blame me for this one. He got outside the pocket 6 times, completed all the passes for 88 yards, and he looked like Aaron Rodgers when he was 25. What I did wrong was I failed to factor in it was the Patriots. And since that game, he looks like an old man.
London, Jags and Bears. Bears with a chance to win 3 in a row. Jags have Bears, Patriots. They can come back home 3-4 and still have a season. It's a toss-up game. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think the young kid is getting better. Last week, we had all 3 rookie quarterbacks win games, and he threw for over 300. I did see a glimmer of hope from Lawrence last week. But the Bear defense, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears in this one. And mainly, I think that here's where I'm getting not excited, but starting to think maybe. They know they're a wild card right now, and all of a sudden, the young quarterback Williams is starting to find those three receivers they paid all the money for. And he's just shifty enough to get away from his bad offensive line.
Running low on time, but Steelers and Raiders, big game for the Steelers, kind of like last night. If they're, the Niners did what they had to do in a must-win situation. Is it that desperate for Pittsburgh on Sunday?
Yeah, I think they have great. Now think about, they're going to know if Baltimore wins, they're going to start feeling the slide of their own. This is another team that's on this little losing streak. The big question is during the game, will Justin Fields be playing well enough to stay on the field? Or is this a time we might see Russell come off the bench? I think Pittsburgh wins the game. And the Raiders, I like Aiden O'Connell. And I know why they drafted him, because that coach at the time thought he saw a young Tom Brady. Pocket passer with a big cannon that could slide around and throw the ball. You're asking a lot against Pittsburgh's defense.
20 seconds. Do you think the Raiders locker room right now is an issue? Do you think Pierce with, Devontae saga and what have you, do you think that there's problems there?
No, I think this team does like this coach and they believe in him. I talked to enough of their guys that they just, when that coach gives them a message for the day or for the week, they kind of buy in still. You can check with me in a few weeks, but I think they like him. I think they've turned Devontae Adams off. A couple of the players have said, yeah, well, we've moved on. We're getting ready for our game. If he doesn't want to be here, I hope he gets what he wants. And I know those words came from the coach and the players are saying them.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today Show, joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Dr. Roto, get your fantasy questions in next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA-certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Core-Tech, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Doc.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How'd you come out?
Not too bad at all. Lucky. How about you guys?
Same. No problems at all.
David, did it get up to you?
Not really. Not what everybody faced. No.
We were going to go to my mom's in West Palm, and then we decided not to, and we regretted it, and then I think Fort Myers just got lucky.
Yep.
Not all of it, but some of it.
No, the same areas got flooded again. That Island Park area got it again.
Downtown. They're going to have to figure out downtown.
So downtown's a mess again.
Yeah, there was water all downtown again.
Oh. We live so much inland that it's like I don't see that part of it.
No, I know. But, everyone at Lee County was at risk because of the tornadoes, which we don't normally get.
My wife's a woman that she works with, her parents' house got hit by the tornado. I'm like, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
We going to get neighbors playing this week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He was active Wednesday in practice. He was not active yesterday in practice.
And then he was at a concert. He went to a concert.
Oh, did he really?
Must be good for concussions to go to a big concert like that.
Oh.
And I heard there's another thing coming next week.
No,
there's a storm.
No, there's not. It's literally fake news. People have been putting stuff on social media that's not the right.
I don't think so. There's a guy who I trust.
Okay.
No,
Matt Devitt literally went on Wink News yesterday and said there's no storm coming. There's nothing out there. This is all fake news. Yeah, I mean, literally had to address it on the news yesterday.
I hope so, because there's a guy I follow who was the leading meteorologist for Hurricane Sandy. And he said, I believe there's something coming. And I don't think this guy is, a charlatan or just, raising crazy. And he pointed it out on the map where it was going to hit.
For those on the Twitch chat room, feel free to submit your questions for Dr. Roto.
I hope Matt's right. Dave, what do you think happens with the Rays next year? You think they're playing in Port Charlotte?
We were talking about that briefly. It's 5.5 months till the next scheduled game. It's going to take them a few weeks to assess the damage. So you figure they'll have about 4 months to repair it. Can you do it in 4 months?
Not what I saw.
My thought is if it's only a few series, they'll do the few series in the area, whether it's Charlotte County, Tampa, Clearwater, and then they'll move back in. But if it's a good chunk of the season, then I think they'll move them.
Really?
Oh, I don't know that they're going to want them playing in minor league ballparks more than 3 series.
So where do you move them to?
Well, where's the other Major League Baseball stadium in the Southeast? There's 2 of them. I mean, I don't think, you're going to move them. You can't play at a college stadium, can you?
Oh, so you're thinking to Marlins? It's the Marlins stadium?
I'm just saying, I think if it's...
Well, nobody goes to Marlin games either.
Well,
it's Rays games.
I mean, the problem now is the schedule's already been made, and, can you play games in Atlanta or Miami? When do your home games match up with theirs? But I don't know. Maybe they will do minor league stadiums. I mean, the A's are going to play 3 years in Sacramento, so.
Well, yeah, that's a shit show. I would think. I mean, is the Charlotte County thing? I've never been to that stadium. Is it nice?
Yeah, it's not bad. They put a lot of money into it 20 years ago when they lost the Rangers.
Oh, okay. I wish JetBlue was big enough.
Well, we've joked for years, the Marlins and the Rays.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
He doesn't normally join us on a Friday, but he does so at this day and time. He's Dr. Roto, drroto.com, drroto.com. You follow him on X at Dr. Roto. You'll hear him tomorrow on SiriusXM's Fantasy Sports Radio. His site is tremendous. Great fantasy info and picks on not just football. Doc makes his weekly house call again on the American Paint Supplies hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Get your questions in for the good doctor at 21,000 or in the Twitch chat room. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you and yours are doing well. I hope all the listeners are hanging in there as best as they can. But speaking of my site, one of the guys at my site won 4K last week. He took down a tournament. His name is Johnny Danger, and he did a great job. So very proud of him. He's been on fire this season.
Need to start following him. There you go. That's another reason to sign up for drroto.com. Just a generic question. If you're in need, running back, waiver wire, what's out there right now, Doc?
Ooh, when you go into your pockets, Mark, at an affair, and you go in and all you find is lint, that feels like what's out there in running backs. There's nothing in your pocket. And it's crazy because it's, usually in years past, running back has felt deeper, but this year it really hasn't. So, could you pick up guys like Gus Edwards and Antonio Gibson? I like Rico Dowdle. I think he's interesting, but is he even available in your league? It all depends on how deep your league is. I think if your league is, 10 teams, could there be a guy like Dowdle out there? Maybe. What about Alexander Madison? Maybe. It's rough. It really is. I like Tyler Algier a lot this week, especially because I'm not sure Bijan's 100%, but I think Algier's in a really good spot against Carolina.
By the way, can we just address this? Once again, Bijan was expected to be a fantasy hound this year. He's not, is he? This is the second top 10 draft pick that we thought was going to produce great offensive numbers in an Atlanta offense. He's not the guy that we thought he was going to be so far in this offense, is he?
No. So I think we all expected new regime. They're going to hand the ball off to this guy, 20 carries a game, 5 receptions a game.
Yeah.
And we're getting LaDainian Tomlinson part 2, right? No, they are really giving him 12 carries, throwing him the ball, yes, but they are underutilizing him. And now all of a sudden, Algier looks like a legitimate start. Certainly if you played on FanDuel, he may have the better chance of a touchdown than Bijan does. So I would argue this. Bijan would not be a first-round pick if we were drafting right now. I would argue Breece Hall after the last 2 games would not be a first-round pick. So if you went back over your first round in your draft, you might see out of 12 names, maybe 7 names that shouldn't be there.
One of them might be Tyreek Hill. I only know that because I drafted him, and he's obviously with no Tua, not done a damn thing. 21,000. The text number 21,000. Get your questions in for Doc Roto, like this tight end question: Schultz or Pitts?
Well, it's an interesting question because Pitts has the much better matchup, but if everybody is feasting against Carolina, Bijan's running and Algier's running and Drake London's there, I always get worried because Pitts gets lost in that shuffle. Whereas I think without Nico Collins, they're going to need Schultz more. So I'm actually going to say Schultz this week over Pitts, even though Pitts has the better matchup. I just don't trust Atlanta, and I certainly don't trust them on the road.
Which wide receiver with their matchup this week do you like the best? McLaurin, Devontae Smith, or Rashid Shaheed?
Wow. I really like them all. Here's the problem with Shaheed, and it's Spencer Rattler. I don't hate him. I thought he was frustrating in college because there were some games where he was tremendous and there were some where he was a disaster. But there is some upside there. He's playing a team that runs a ton of zone coverage, which he eats up like you wouldn't believe. So he's in play. Devonta Smith is absolutely in play against a Cleveland defense that's reeling right now, as is McLaurin. So I think the safest play is McLaurin, then Smith, then Shaheed. But any one of those 3 can get that touchdown. It depends on the quarterback play for all of them. I'll go McLaurin first.
If you're streaming a defense this week, where are you leaning?
I am leaning Atlanta because I don't trust Carolina. And then I will shock you by telling you I'm looking at the Chargers a little bit. The Chargers run a zone scheme on defense, And Denver's receivers don't line up very well against that. And I also feel like Bo Nix, maybe it's Cinderella time. It's 3 wins. Are they going to get 4? Derwin James is back. I'll take a shot with the Chargers.
Over under in that game's 35.5. Also, they're not expecting a lot of offense in that game. Irish football wants to know who you picking between Josh Jacobs or David Montgomery.
Oh man, it's like picking between 2 people you really love. I love them both. I think Josh Jacobs is in a great spot. Here's my problem with Jacobs, though. They're not using him as much as we want them to use him. That's frustrating, right? Because, we want him to get 20 touches, but they rotate their running backs. Emmanuel Wilson's in there a ton. I think Jordan Love is going to throw. I mean, Jaden Reed has a great matchup this week. So don't laugh, but I think I'm going to take Montgomery. Detroit is going to move this ball. This game is a 52. That's a big, big, big number. And I've got to think that Montgomery on the road always finds the end zone.
I think you already answered this because someone says Jacobs, Montgomery, they added Connor, pick 2. Are you sitting Connor?
I am likely sitting Connor here. Not that I don't like him, but this feels like a game that they're playing from behind. And when that happens, maybe Kyler's chucking it a little more. So give me Jacobs and Montgomery.
Send in your questions, 21,000 on the text line, or if you're following us on Twitch, submit them in the Twitch chat room like Larry did. He wants to know Tank Dell or Jameson Williams.
So the big question here is Christian Gonzalez. So Christian Gonzalez is the best cornerback that you don't know about. He's in his second year. He got injured last year, University of Oregon. He always shadows the other team's best receiver. So you're probably saying, wouldn't he be shadowing Stephon Diggs? He doesn't shadow slot guys. He shadows guys on the outside. So it tells me that Dell is probably going to see Gonzalez coverage. If he does, we want no part of that. So I think we're going to take a shot on Jameson Williams. They go to him once or twice a game. I think they'll probably go to him and take a shot early to just test out that Dallas defense.
Franklin wants to know if it's time to consider Darnell Mooney as a must start.
By the way, hey, Franklin, I don't know about that. And here's why. I think Mooney excels in games where they have to throw because Cousins has a rapport with Mooney. He really does. What are they going to do this week? Is this a Bijan and Algier week? Is this a week where Cousins is not throwing for 5 touchdowns and 500 yards this week? So it's funny. I'm not starting Mooney where I can. Maybe it's to my regret. I just feel like this is like a 4 for 52 week and not a bust out week.
Wan'Dale Robinson, T. Higgins.
I think I'm starting T. Higgins. I mean, look, Cincinnati's just gotten some bad luck. I mean, a bad snap in overtime after Zach Taylor doesn't choose to move the ball down the field. That was a little frustrating. Give me T. Higgins. I don't dislike Wan'Dale, but I like T more.
21,000 is the text line or in the Twitch chat room. Your questions for Dr. Roto appearing on a Friday because we had yesterday off with the storms coming in and taking all of your fantasy questions. I do it every week. You got a couple of sleepers out there for us for DFS, Doc?
I do. I like Ladd McConkey, who they don't throw a lot, but when they throw to Ladd a ton. I also think DeAndre Hopkins is in a really good spot. Indianapolis plays zone coverage, and nobody loves zone coverage as much as DeAndre. So I think this is a get-right week for the Titans.
Question for you as far as I've got a spot. This is a tough question. Keon Coleman, White, or Wan'Dale Robinson for a flex. Where do you go here?
Which White are we talking about?
Your buddy from Vegas, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if he's my buddy anymore. He's the friend I never wanted. You know how there's a guy that you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to be besties. And then you get to know him and you're like, I don't even like this guy. Yeah, that's Zamir White for me. I don't even like this guy. He didn't practice yesterday. I don't think he practices today. I don't think he plays this week, if I had to guess. Look, I don't dislike Wan'Dale. That game should be high scoring. Coleman's not bad, though. But, I mean, do I think that he's going to explode against the Jets? No. So give me some Wan'Dale.
Does today determine whether or not we play Malik Neighbors? Because he practiced quite a lot on Wednesday, didn't do much at practice yesterday. And so are we to read into it that he's not ready, or are we to read into it that they were just taking it easy and they didn't want to do back-to-back hard days? Is today the day that we find out whether or not we should play Neighbors?
Look, if he's active, we play him. It's simple. They're not using him as a decoy. If he's not active, then obviously we don't. I believe it's today. It's a Sunday night game. So,
Correct.
I mean, he would be involved in the offense. It's not like when it's a Monday night game, we know on Saturday. So we should know today. I think if I had to guess, I think he's not playing. This guy is the team. He's the franchise. Are you messing with him this week? I mean, look, if he's playing, I'm playing him. But I'm going to go 51-49 that he's out.
By the way, is that the game? Is it the Detroit-Dallas game? What's the game? Is it the Arizona-Green Bay game? Is it the Washington-Baltimore game? What's the one that you're most likely to fully invest in?
Well, in DFS, I'm investing in Dallas-Detroit. I always love the later games because the later games give you some option in case you want to make some switches into your lineup. As for the early games, I think Arizona Green Bay could disappoint. I could see a way where it disappoints, where it's a Josh Jacobs love fest. I don't think Washington and Baltimore disappoint. Those teams play a lot of man coverage and there could be a lot of broken plays, which lead to a lot of big plays. So, but for me, it's going to be Dallas 1, Washington 2, Giants 3, Arizona 4.
He's Dr. Roto. drroto.com, drroto.com. You can follow him on X at Dr. Roto. He normally joins us on Thursdays, but obviously Milton pushed everything back a day. Doc, glad things worked out for you and your family. Have a great weekend. And we are definitely doing Thursday next week.
Thursday next week. You got it. And guys, once again, glad everybody is safe out there and hope everybody keeps well.
Dr. Roto, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. JP Shadrick will join us from across the pond to talk Jags and Bears, and also just to kind of give us a little feel. We'll let him be tour guide for a couple of minutes. So what's it like when the teams go over? What do they experience? Because JP's been there for a week already.
Right. He did the game last week.
He did Jets Vikings for Westwood One, right? So he's going to spend 2.5 weeks across the pond. So, he's been there long enough now. He's going back for seconds at certain establishments.
I wonder if he's got any, ideas on Leeds versus Sheffield today.
We could. Maybe he's been there long enough that he does. But Dr. Roto joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs, American Paint Supplies.
This is a weird week for fantasy with all just in general with all the road dogs. There's matchups. You pointed out all the big point games. What game are you going to stack if you're going to try to win some money on DFS? For those of you that bet what game's going to hit over with these big numbers in the 50s, what one gets carried away and leads you to some money on the DFS line.
I think it's a fascinating NFL Sunday, and by fascinating, I mean I really have no clue what's going to happen. Now, of course, we all know deep down none of us do, but we think we do before the week starts. But Vegas has thrown me for a loop this week. If I hadn't paid attention to the point spreads, I would feel a lot more confident about my picks for Sunday. Also, we have a lot of changes at quarterback. New England, New Orleans, Las Vegas. We have a lot of changes at quarterback.
I wonder if that's the first of many weeks of that starting. Carr got knocked out last week for a couple of games. Tua's already been knocked out for 4 games. I just, we had so many different quarterbacks play last year. David, I wonder if this is the beginning of the quarterback injury bug. You certainly hope not, because we want starters to play the whole year. But obviously, we know the last couple of years we've gotten into the 60s with the number of quarterbacks that have started games.
Why did we not pick the Bengals to beat the Giants? I mean, do we really think Joe Burrow and company are starting 1-5? mean,
with
we
no
think-
neighbors.
We think that badly about the Bengals defense? Well, quite frankly, we've seen them play. We should. JP Shadrick across the pond. Next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies for nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The world-famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world-famous cigar bar.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
London calling. Good morning, JP.
Good morning. How are we doing, guys?
Excellent. Or good afternoon, I should say to you.
Well, yeah, it's 2:00 here.
So I jokingly said you've been there long enough now where you've now returned to certain places a second time. Is that true?
Yeah. Actually, I was in Kensington for starting Friday, and then I got up here to the Grove last night. So I was in the same neighborhood for 6 nights or whatever, 5 nights, whatever, 6 nights. So yeah, there was a little pub that I'd gone to a couple times, and yeah, it was good. I mean, and there's been a lot of downtime too because they canceled the shows with the storms last, or so this week.
Right.
So I didn't really have to do much the last couple of days. So I took me and a couple guys, my old boss, and with Westwood and our producer, we took a bus trip out to Windsor and Stonehenge and Bath yesterday. 12 hours total. So that was a good off day excursion. So it's been good. How are things? I know it's been tough down on the coast down there. What's I saw the St. Pete pictures and stuff, but how did Fort Myers and all that hold up?
we got a lot, we got water and the beaches, the barrier islands and that, and some of the usual places inland got water, but not a lot of wind, just more water, more sand, more mess for those folks. But all in all, not too badly.
Okay, that's good.
So did you go with Deneroff?
Yeah, he's in town with the NFL Network.
Yeah, he's been making the rounds. I think he's trying to drum up business. He's now headlining a consulting firm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, trust me, I was with him for 12 hours.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He's good people, man. He's the best. He's a fun travel companion. I'll say that. It's good.
So I saw him first Monday night game of the year. He was in Santa Clara there.
Very random question, JP, but did you see the movie Spinal Tap?
A long time ago.
Were there any Spinal Tap references while at Stonehenge?
No. No. I totally whiffed on that. No, I didn't. It's a lot cooler than I thought, though. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it is, you drive. It's funny. You drive up to it. You're driving on this 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere. And it's like all of a sudden it's right there by the bus. It's like, here's the rocks. I'm like, what? That's it? Then you go, you turn into the visitor center, park the bus, take the shuttle, get out there, you get up to it. It's like, okay, well, now that's something else. When you're right up by it, it's cool. But it's almost like the Alamo at first. It's like, that's the Alamo? Like, wait a minute, that's not the visitor center? That's kind of what I felt like. These are the rocks? But it was really neat, actually, being there for about an hour. Pretty cool.
So I will ask you on there. So where are you officially?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm in a hotel room at the Grove up in Watford, which is northwest of London.
Gotcha.
I can tell you all about the resort history when we get to it.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the fourth and final hour on this Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And we do something we have never done before. We have had guests from other countries. This is the first time that you can see the guest from across the pond, in this case, as JP Shadrick joins us. And if you're following us on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, you can see him from his cozy confines. Where are you officially?
I'm officially in the town called Watford, Watford, which is northwest of London. It's a 20-minute overground train ride from Euston Station, so it's not that crazy far. It's far, but it's not by train that far, which is pretty convenient. But it's out in the countryside, and there's a golf course on property here. I mean, this was a manor house that started in the late 1700s that they've built on over the years, and it's been a luxury hotel since the mid-90s. There's a practice field for the NFL and soccer teams that sometimes stay here. They hosted a G20 summit at one point in the mid to late 2000s. They hosted a World Golf Championship event here in 2006. Tiger Woods made eagle 3 straight days on the 18th hole and lipped out the Sunday one, and which is now the 9th hole in the regular course, which hopefully I'll get to play next week.
I like it. I was going to say, what with all this time there, have you been? I know you have work to do. I know you have obligations, but have you had the opportunity to be a little bit of a tourist on this trip?
A little bit. I mean, you got to remember, this is, I think, my 10th trip with the Jags over here. So all of the London things have pretty much been done. Abbey Road and Churchill stuff, and walking by the palace and all those things, which is really cool. I mean, the other day I had a day off, so I took the ferry Battersea Power Station, which I had never been to, by the way, and it's now a luxury shopping mall inside of it, which is incredible. I took the ferry from there all the way down to the Tower of London and right through the middle of London on the Thames. You could see everything. It's like super cheap, and that was pretty cool. And then took a day trip the other day, yesterday, in fact. We had no show. So we went to Windsor. Took the tour of the state apartments there, and the chapel where Queen Elizabeth II is buried, and then Stonehenge, and then Bath. So it's been a good trip that way. But there's some work involved too. You got to do a lot of prep for this game coming up on Sunday.
JP Shadrick over for 3 straight weekends. He did Vikings Jets on Westwood One last weekend. He's got Jaguar responsibilities this week, and then he's got back-to-back weekends of Jags games to broadcast as well. All right, we'll get to the games in a moment. So for Bears fans, like, what is it that you've noticed over the decade in terms of the fan experience for an NFL fan who decides, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take in one of these games. Is there anything the NFL does, or basically do you just fly yourself over and immerse yourself in the city and fly yourself home?
We can do it a couple different ways. I think the league does have packages where, hey, you get to eat at these 5 places, including a pub party with an NFL theme and all these things. There are those packages available, right? But it is not a difficult trip to plan on your own. It really is not. I mean, you can, if you fly at night, you get here in the morning, 6, 7, 8 a.m. if you want. You stay up the whole day. You can get here as early as you want. Obviously, the game is on Sunday at 2:30. So if you're tired of London for a day or two, you can pop over to Paris, or Dublin is an hour flight away. There's that possibility too. The hotel situation, they're plentiful. They're everywhere. I mean, you can stay in all kind of different parts of town. The train to Tottenham Hotspur is a little difficult. I had that the other day, like 2 changes, a long walk, and it's a neighborhood, and then North London. So it can be a little bit on game day a bit of a challenge to get up there, just because everybody's trying to use the same train line. Other than that, it's a football game. They used to do all these pre-game party atmosphere, close down a block thing on the street, close down Regent Street, and all the they've done away with that. The league has. In terms of the big show things on Friday and Saturday before the game for crowds. They used to do one at Trafalgar Square. They've kind of done away with that. So now it's, you come in, you hang out in London for a couple of days, you go to the game, and then if you want to hang out, then you just go home.
All right. Well, because the Jags got off the schneid and beat the Colts last week, this 2-game trip is big to get them back into playoff contention. The AFC's kind of just finagling its way along so far, and if they can come back from this London trip 3-4, they're in the thick of things. What did you see that encourages you that they can do that from last week?
Well, I saw a quarterback that had time in the pocket to execute. He was not hit at all in the game. There was one pressure the entire game from the Colts. So when he has time, guess what? He could throw to open guys, and that's what happened last week. And I think that's a positive. Now, is it sustainable? We'll find out this week. Bears trying to take the ball away. They're good on the back end. They haven't allowed 21. They've had 11 straight games where they've given up 21 or less points. I mean, these guys don't give up points in Chicago. So that's the challenge this week, moving ahead. The scary part on the other side of that is the Jaguars' pass defense. Last in the league. They blew a 14-point lead with 5 minutes to play last week, and you should have heard yelling at the TV up down here in London. I mean, they thought they didn't know what was going on. A horrible performance on the back. They've said as much this week. Andre's just credit for the blown coverage, and that can't happen. And that's been happening way too much for this Jaguars defense. So they've got to figure that out. It's a veteran receiver group. On top of Roma Dunze now for Chicago, and a quarterback in Caleb Williams that has some confidence. So that's a huge matchup for the Jags this week.
Yeah. Why has the Jags pass defense been so bad? They changed schemes. They changed coordinators. They feel as if they significantly upgraded their personnel on the back line. They've invested heavily financially in draft picks in the guys up front. I mean, JP, this is a huge disappointment. The fact they can't seemingly get after the quarterback, and then when they don't, they can't cover anybody.
Right. They've had some injuries. That's not an excuse. It's what it is, though. They've had some guys out. The linebackers have been out, obviously, for you, who's the guy who calls defenses, gets everybody in place. They've had corners coming in and out of the lineup this year. It's not ideal. So, and in big moments like last week, they just kind of clammed up, I guess, for lack of a better term. So they've got to get that out of their head. They got to play better. Pass rush has been a little inconsistent, helps the coverage as well. And I mean, they just let it go in moments last week late. So I don't have an answer for you, Dave, to answer your question. I mean, that they don't have one right now either. They're trying to figure out a way to stop it.
Tank Bigsby is emerging as a lead back for this team. And with now could they have a two-headed monster? Because in a game like this, it seems to me they're going to have to run the ball a little bit, JP.
Yeah, it feels like that, right? Tank Bigsby has a little bit of a shoulder issue. We'll see how bad that is moving ahead into the weekend here. But Tank looked good. I mean, dare I say that was Taylor-like run last week, where he broke through the line, kind of went to the right, stiff-armed the safety, and then turned on the jet. He's not Fred. I get that. But it's a good step in the right direction for him. And I was talking to Fred this week, actually. We'll hear it on pregame on Sunday and on the podcast network, official Jaguars podcast network, cheap plug, this week. I asked him because, how do you handle mentally as a running back, the starting running back, sharing reps? He had to do that a lot, especially down around the goal line in his career, and he didn't like it at all. I mean, he wants to play. He practices, he plays, and I'm sure Travis is feeling a little bit of that anxiety maybe creeping in, but also at the same time, you want to help your team and go with a hot hand. So they've been getting equal time lately. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case moving ahead here, the way especially Tank has held onto the football first and performed with it in his hands.
JP, do the Jags have an advantage because they do this every year and obviously no one else does? I mean, have you noticed over the years that the Jags now just are better equipped to play these games across the pond than their opponents?
Well, I mean, let's start with the first. I mean, they're 6-5 all time here, right? First couple of years, they were just bad teams. I mean, they were blown out of the water by San Francisco. They weren't on the same field. They shouldn't have been on the same field. Cowboys beat them the second year, and they finally got a win against the Bills year 3. That's a long time ago now. So if you're a bad team, you're a bad team in any time zone, in any country, right? It doesn't matter where you play. So when the teams have been better, they've had better results. I think that matters. This week's different because the Bears got here on Tuesday. The Jags flight was delayed by about 5 or 6 hours because of the hurricane. They just arrived. I mean, 30 minutes ago, I heard doors slamming in the hallway at the hotel and people coming in. I mean, that's how soon they just got here. So can they recover in time when the Bears have been ready all week long? I think the advantage comes in week 2. Last year they played 2 games here, and you could tell the Bills got in late in the week. Jaguars were here all week long and had practiced here all week and outlasted that team and ran the ball late and won the game. So I think the second week probably and the 2-week run is the one that you get the most advantage. But they've traveled on short weeks before here on, traveling Thursday, getting here Friday. Let's see how this one compares though, because the Bears here early are ready. Can the Jags step up and be ready? I think there is a slight advantage week 2 to answer your question.
He's JP Shadrick, Jags Radio Network, but he's also there for Westwood One. Did Vikings Jets last week. He's got more responsibilities this week and next week. So, man, he is just living the life. The expense reports. You better get that paperwork in, dude. Stay on top of it because you're going to be spending a lot of money and you got to get it back. Follow JP on X at JP Shadrick, SHADRICK. Hopefully we can do this again next week. Have a great call. And continue to enjoy your stay.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll do it next week. They cover Cuban cigars for some reason. I don't know why. It's amazing.
Oh, look at that.
Huh. By the way, Mark, JP, finally, 30 seconds. Mark, you want to try to get that leads? Have you been paying enough attention where you can give out some soccer betting advice? Yes or no?
No, gambling's illegal at Bushwood still, no matter the sport. However, it is the international break this week. So there's no Premier League this week because it's the international break. They played last week and again next week. Fulham home next week. at Craven Cottage, and hopefully I'll get to go to that match.
Outstanding.
He is speaking the language. He's acting like he lives down the road. I mean, JP, all the best. Thanks for your time.
See you guys.
There's no gambling at Bushwood. That's funny. That's funny. JP Shadrick joining us, American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Miller and Moulton with our straight-up NFL picks next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mac joining us from northern Madagascar. Hello. Thanks for the well wishes, Mac. Hope that your property and family and what have you in the Tampa area made it through okay. And Mac, you could have just gone to the east coast of Florida to get as far away from the storm as possible. That'll bump. So Madagascar 2 further hours away than London. So you are 7 time zones away. Hello. Wow. You know, the last time you were that far away, you sent us a T-shirt. They play soccer over in Madagascar or football? Not asking for another T-shirt. I'm just curious. What's the sport of choice there? Is it cricket? Is it soccer? Does the Hard Rock app work over there? Mark? Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Our buddy Mac
Yeah.
is taking in the show at 4 p.m. in northern Madagascar.
Hello.
Hello. He says he'll be sure to send us a Fighting Lemur football jersey once he gets to the capital city.
Excellent.
Unbelievable. Mac, you're the best. And Adam, of course, asked him, does the Hard Rock app work over there? And Mac goes, I tried it. No. Curious what does work over there.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the final hour of our show. The Diamond District bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. You miss any part of the show, like our guests, Lee Sterling with his picks, Pat Kirwan breaking down all the NFL games, Dr. Roto with some fantasy advice, JP Shadrick about life.
Travel advice.
Right. Life across the pond for the Jags and the Bears. Interesting footnote there that it's the Bears who are actually in London 2+ days before the Jags. Jags decided to leave after the storm. And even though Jacksonville fared very well in comparison to many other areas of the state, they were delayed about 5-6 hours in leaving yesterday. So while we had him on, basically, he heard the Jags arriving.
Which means kind of a quick turnaround for a practice today, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so. Maybe even no practice at all.
Ooh, can't imagine that on a Friday before the game.
You're probably right. But remember, it's already, 2:20 in the afternoon over there. But yeah, you're probably right. They're probably jamming in a late afternoon workout of some kind. That is true. So, good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day one. That's all coming up in about 15 minutes' time. You are 3 up on me. Picking winners.
It's my only refuge in picking games right now is against the number. I had kind of a rough week last week. And by kind of a rough week, I went 0-4-1.
But you are a +3 on me and just picking winners straight up. And telling you, I have no read on this week at all. I am going to wing it this week. We disagreed on 6 games last week. I'll be very curious. We could have a similar number this week because with 9 home dogs, a few of these have got to be upsets. And you know me, I love picking upsets. So take it away.
All right. Well, we both picked the Jags plus the 1 against Chicago. So I believe we're both picking the Jags to win outright. That gets us to Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I have Tampa Bay laying the 3.5. I'm obviously taking the Bucks. Are you with me?
I am. One would like to think that they, even though they've had their moments defensively, that they could give Spencer Rattler a hard time in his NFL debut. And Baker in the offense, although, man, do the Saints, they get after Mike Evans, they get in his head. The Saints know how to defend Baker and the Bucks, but I am going with Tampa.
Arizona at Green Bay. How much of a shot do you give the Cardinals?
I give them a puncher's chance against everybody. I really do. Because the one thing we've known is the Cardinals very rarely with this coach have had a dud. That they play hard every week and play pretty well every week. It's just a matter of, are they good enough? Green Bay has had success against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. I've even seen it up close a couple times. I like the Packers.
I like the Packers as well. Love starting to find himself. I think that this is a team that's going to end up contending for a playoff spot like most people expect. And this, if that's the case, this is a game that you win. Indianapolis at Tennessee, David. Who do you like?
I like the Titans. They had a bye week last week. The Colts, their number one receiver, Pittman, is out. And I like Tennessee. Also, we're getting Mason Rudolph, aren't we? I mean, I hope I'm not picking Will Levis. All right. I think we're getting Mason Rudolph. Give me the Titans.
Not sure the status of Taylor. You're right about Pittman, but I'm going to take the Flaccos. Give me Indianapolis. Cleveland at Philadelphia. Do you give the Browns any shot in this game? I don't, for what it's worth. I think this is a get-right game for Philly. They win and win comfortably.
Put it this way. If the Philly defense doesn't get right this week against the Browns offense, then it's 4-alarm fire time in Philly defensively. I think Philly runs the ball to a win here.
Houston at New England. I already took Houston. Are you with me on this game? It's a pretty big number.
It is. I don't think I'd lay the points, but it's difficult to imagine Houston loses. I do think Drake May helps the Patriots offense, though. I also think he'll probably give Houston a turnover that Jacoby Brissett would not give them. But I like Houston. I think it'll be closer. If I had to take the points, I would.
Washington at Baltimore. How much of a shot do you give your Commanders against that big number? I think Baltimore wins this game, but I would take the points if I were betting it.
I feel exactly the same way. I'm all in on this quarterback. I do think, though, that this is where Baltimore at the line of scrimmage should be superior. And you would like to think that still means something in the NFL. I'm worried about the Ravens defensively, though. I am. But, yeah, I like them to win. It'd be 4 in a row, by the way.
Denver at home against the Chargers. The Chargers are favored. I can't figure out why. Denver's only won 3 in a row. They're playing good football. Their defense is elite in the league. It's not good. Their defense is proven right now to be elite in the league. I'm going to take the Broncos, David.
Well, we know the theme, the better quarterback, right? Man, there are not going to be a lot of points in this game. Sean Payton against Jim Harbaugh. That's a pretty good matchup. At the end, if it comes down to a drive and a kick, give me the Chargers.
Pittsburgh and Vegas. I think Pittsburgh wins on the road in another low-scoring battle.
I do as well. This would probably be the end of the rope for Fields if he doesn't play well or get a W. I do think Aiden O'Connell for a week will help. I don't know about long-term. And I do think it's a season for the Raiders. I could also argue it's a season for the Steelers in this sense. If they're 3-3 with their second half schedule, they ain't making the playoffs. But give me Pittsburgh.
Got enough guts to take Carolina at home against Atlanta?
No.
Neither do I. We both
Especially since Atlanta played like 2 Thursdays ago, right? So Atlanta's got 3 extra days rest for this game because they beat Tampa on a Thursday.
Detroit and Dallas. Cowboys at home. They're an underdog. Do they get their first home win?
Yes. Yeah. Detroit needs to prove it to me. Detroit is a road favorite against a so-called good team. I just want to see it. They should win. I think they're the better, more complete team. But just prove it to me.
I'm going to take Detroit. I think they do prove it. I think the fact that it's indoors helps the Lions a lot. Jared Goff plays great indoors. Dallas still a little banged up. I think the Lions show that they're an elite team on Sunday, and they beat Dallas. Cincinnati at the Giants. I'll take the Bengals starting to get right. And the Giants pulled off a big win last week. I can't see them doing it 2 in a row.
Looks like Neighbors and Thibodeau will be out for the Giants. Ultimately, Mark, I think this comes down to Burrow against Daniel Jones. So you know where my pick is going to go.
And Monday night, Buffalo and the Jets. The Jets, we all know about the changes that they've made. It's not going to be enough. I'll take the Bills and the Mafia on the road.
I think for a week it is. I also think it's a season for the Jets, and they know it. All right. If we think the Niners won the NFC West last night by just tying things up with Seattle, and they'll take it from here, that Buffalo, I believe, they win the AFC East if they win Monday night in Jersey. So I'll take the Jets.
I took a flyer on Indy. David has Tennessee. I have Denver. David has the Chargers. David took Dallas. I took Detroit, and he's taking the Jets, and I'm taking Buffalo. We differed on 4 of the games this week in the NFL. David would have to sweep to get back into the lead on our weekly picks on the National Football League.
Curious how many home dogs we took. We didn't take Carolina. We didn't take the Giants. All right.
I took Denver. You took Dallas. You took the Jets. That's about it.
Yeah. So between the two of us, we only took 3 of the 9 home dogs.
Home field doesn't matter in this league. We know that.
I know.
Don't try to talk yourself into it.
But it's a trend, Mark. It's been a long time betting trend. You know me and trends. I follow them right to my grave. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day one. That's how we'll wrap up this Football Friday. Miller and Moulton. Cigar Bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world-famous Cigar Bar.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When you enter the Diamond District, you will quickly discover what makes Jason and Todd so unique to Southwest Florida. Within the walls of the Diamond District, you'll find many of America's top jewelry designers who have chosen the Diamond District as their authorized representative in Southwest Florida. Tacori, Fana, A. Jaffe, Veragio, Christopher Designs, Shy Creations, Henri Darcy, all names synonymous with excellence, and all proudly showcased at the Diamond District. This is Miller and Moulton.
Do you know when we get our minimal Twitch payouts, David? I think of this like those commercials. And I helped.
I'm a little disappointed in them because we've increased our numbers significantly and our payouts are not that much more significant.
Yeah, but it's only subscribers and tips. It doesn't have much to do with viewers. We need viewers to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Subscribe to Miller and Moulton. Thank you.
I think Adam is single-handedly bankrolling us on
I believe he is too.
Twitch.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate you.
You've paid us so much money. I don't know.
Wow, Paper City. Look at that. I was just throwing $10 in.
Wow.
I wasn't really begging there, but I really appreciate it.
I don't know what's the most generous gift we've got today. Mac promising us a fighting lemur football jersey from Madagascar. Or Paper City Gamer and Adam there.
Waffle House All-American for 2. You got that right, Adam. I haven't had anything scattered, smothered, covered, and diced in a long time.
You should go.
I think I might take the daughter for Coney dogs today.
Are we at least going back to school Monday?
She's not. They have a teacher work day that they're continuing.
Isn't it also a Jewish holiday? No, is one of them. Is it Rosh Hashanah? Didn't
That
we
was
just
last week.
Oh, okay. Then it's Yom Kippur. I thought they were both in October. Thought one was early, one was mid. Just trying to remember when I went to school.
David, I can safely tell you that I don't worry about those holidays anymore for my daughter getting the day off now that she's in the Catholic school.
Make a dadgum good point, Mark. Flying to LA again
through
Atlanta.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. 16 until we're done. The Diamond District bonus hour in the 239 and 904 of Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. By the way, if you weren't with us earlier, first off, where the hell were you? No, we're just kidding. Mark's taking Ohio State laying the 3. Taking LSU and getting the 3.5 in their border showdown with Ole Miss. It's a much bigger game than is being talked about. He likes the Bucks laying the 3.5 against the Saints. Likes the Texans laying the 6.5 in New England. And both Miller and Moulton are riding the Jags and getting a point against the Bears. We're not confident about it, but we're riding them. I'm laying 3.5 with Penn State at USC. I'm laying 3 with Pitt at home against Cal. Pitt's unbeaten. Cal's not. I'm laying 3 with BYU. They're unbeaten. Arizona's not. And BYU's home. And UMass sucks and Missouri doesn't. So I'm laying 27 with the Tigers to bounce back from getting humiliated last week. Those are our picks. Yeah. By the way, you may want to subscribe to Lee Sterling. He's got a bunch of 40, 45 unit plays this week, and he's on a 14-4 run his last 2 weeks for his clients. So,
and offering a good deal, like the 5 for
Yeah.
55 or something like that. That's one of the
Right.
better deals he's ever offered on the show.
and he's offering, I think, both of his 45 unit plays in the 5 for 55. So, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741 if you're interested.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1911 today. Frank Schulte and Ty Cobb are named the inaugural Major League Baseball MVPs. The prize, a car.
Wow.
It's not
What is
bad
this?
in 1911.
I was going to say, what is this? The Price is Right? A new car.
And they didn't even have to play the Lucky 7 game. Today in 27, Lou Gehrig is named the American League MVP. Babe Ruth not eligible, even though he hit 60 home runs, because at that time, a former winner is not eligible for the MVP. $1929, J.C. Penney opens store 1252 in Milford, Delaware, making it a nationwide company with stores in all 48 states. Remember, it's 1929. We jump all the way to 1972. The World Hockey Association officially debuts as the Alberta Oilers defeat the Ottawa Nationals. 1975, Saturday Night Live premieres on NBC. George Carlin was your host.
It's getting very good press for their year so far this year. And many people believe this is going to be the final year of the show. It's the 50th, and NBC, the word is, as soon as Lorne Michaels steps away, NBC's bailing because the show costs a fortune and they lose money on it. But they've brought some big names in to do all the political stuff, and they're getting really good reviews.
1978, Billy Joel releases 52nd Street, his first chart topper. It won 3 Grammys. Today in 81, the Stones opened their tour at the LA Coliseum. The opening act, Prince. Did not go well for Prince. Things were thrown at him. He was basically booed off stage. 1992, we had our first three-way. U.S. presidential debate, that is. Bush, Clinton, and Perot.
My favorite was the vice presidential debate that year. Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's Al Gore, and it's Dan Quayle, and Admiral James Stockdale. And I forget which one went first. I think it was the sitting Vice President Quayle, and then sitting Senator Gore went second. And they got to Admiral Stockdale. Do you remember what his first line was?
Something along the lines of, who am I? What am I doing here?
That's exactly what his first line was. He looked right into the camera and he said, I bet you're all wondering, who am I? And what am I doing here?
Also, didn't he answer the abortion question very emphatically?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple of his answers were, we're not sure all the wires touched, but a couple of the answers we were like,
Also today in 92, Dion played for the Falcons in Miami, flies to Pittsburgh hoping to play for the Braves and become the first athlete to play 2 sports on the same day. Bobby Cox doesn't put him in the game. And in 2020, David, the Lakers win their 17th title, defeating the Heat in 6 games.
Did it really happen? I mean, it happened in the bubble. We wondered. I mean, did it really happen?
In fact, I think they may have played the games on the moon, David. Eleanor Roosevelt and Luke Perry would have celebrated birthdays today. Daryl Hall is 78, Steve Young 63, Chris Spielman 59, Michelle Wee 35, and TJ Watt is 30. What did I miss, David?
Well, you missed a few things. You got one of the big 3 on this day in 75 that Saturday Night Live debuted. You know, Born to Run became a hit today in 75. All right.
I usually leave this for number one hits.
Well, but then you'd never mention Springsteen.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. And Mark, I can't believe you missed those two lovebirds. Bill and Hillary were married 49 years ago today in 1975. Man, I can't believe you'd skip that. Listen, Jimmy Carter won the Nobel Prize 22 years ago today, and he's still alive. Just thought I'd bring that up. He's 100.
He is 100.
Well,
that's a run.
That is a run.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I mean, when you win the Nobel Prize at 78, and we put the over-under at 99.5, most people are going to take the under.
For the good, we go to a rescue that happened during Moulton. A man was rescued clinging to a cooler 30 miles off the coast of Longboat Key. The man lost contact with the St. Petersburg Coast Guard office at approximately 6:45 p.m. on Wednesday. He was taken to Tampa General for medical care. What a rescue. For the bad, we go to Colorado, where police were called to a home because of a large snake was inside of it. Boulder Police Department on social media said, how many cops does it take to wrangle a very large snake out of a community member's home? They cited the snake for trespassing and released it to its natural habitat. Finally, the ugly, we go to Toledo, Ohio, where dad's drunk. And dad decides while drunk, you know, it's a good thing I should do right now. I need to teach that boy how to drive.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
So the father ended up in the hospital after he was run over by his 9-year-old son while teaching the boy how to drive. The video shows the man open the door jamb up on the driver's side. The boy tried to hit the brake, but he didn't know which the pedal was. He hit the gas. The car went into reverse. The man was dragged by the vehicles that backed onto the street and smashes into a telephone pole. The boy was not hurt. Another child in the back seat was uninjured. Did I say that the boy was 9 years old?
I have to admit, the first thing I thought of was if I was big enough to reach the pedals at 9. How far up in the seat do you have to be just to reach the pedals?
I was 10 or 11 when my grandfather taught me how to drive. It was an old Blazer, and he had to make there was a piece of foam that we put over the seat so I could see over the top of the driver, so I could get the pedals and still see.
Right.
And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday, October 11th, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Want to thank the Cape Coral Police Department, all the fine work they did. A little bit of surge, a little bit of power outage, and they're still looking for new officers. CapeCops.com. That's CapeCops.com. A $10,000 sign-on bonus for new officers. Go to CapeCops.com.
I do think it's very fitting they sponsor this segment, because somebody there has to listen to it, and they must go, did you hear the good, bad, and ugly today, the story that Mark? Okay, and so this one's going to be, they're going to be like, so what's the youngest we ever had driving? Okay, I mean, that's my challenge to the Cape Coral Police. Anybody there ever a driver under the age of 9? Okay, just, and please, I hope not. My goodness. You know what I mean, too. Not the old, the mom or dad puts the kid on their lap and, they do the steering wheel while mom and dad do the, brakes and the gas. And, if it's a stick, they do the shifting, the clutch and all. But
I barely let the daughter touch the golf cart, let alone an automobile.
And she's 10. Hey, we got Padres Dodgers at 8:00 tonight on Big Fox. I believe it canceled the college football game they had scheduled for tonight. Just canceled broadcasting it.
Well, they're moving it to FS1, Northwestern and Maryland, I think.
So, listen, in the National League, this is the third year that we've had this playoff format with 6 teams. And, the 6 seed has beaten the 3 seed and then beaten the 2 seed 3 years in a row. First the Phillies, then the Diamondbacks, and now the Mets. But here's the other thing that's at work, Mark. I don't believe the number 1 seed has ever made it to the LCS either. That the wild card teams keep winning. And so Padres sending Darvish back out on normal rest, and he shut the Dodgers down in game 2. Meanwhile, Dodgers reportedly going to start Yamamoto. He gave up 5 or 6 runs early in 3 innings in game 1. The other thing about Darvish owns Ohtani. The one weakness that Ohtani has admitted to publicly, he grew up idolizing Darvish. And he's like 1 for 12 against him. So I know the Dodgers are the slight betting favorite. On paper, recent history and what have you, plus the Padres beat them 2 years ago in the playoffs, but it's in L.A. Oh, by the way, a twilight game. It's 5 o'clock local, first pitch. Figure the pitchers are going to have the advantage today. But Dodgers-Padres, winner hosts the Mets beginning Sunday. Your Tigers-Guardians game is tomorrow night in Cleveland.
One interesting college football game tonight, Utah against Arizona State, David. Utah's on the road. They are a 5.5-point favorite. They should win the game, but.
Well, which Utah team are we going to get?
Right.
The one that Arizona showed up in Provo and whooped them. So, yeah, I stayed away from it. I don't have a good read on the Big 12 at all, even though I took BYU over Arizona.
And then there was hockey, David. The
Lightning season opener tonight in Carolina. Their home opener has been postponed. It was supposed to be tomorrow night. They're going to make that game up later in the year. Lightning taking about a week off after tonight before they play a home game.
Lightning in Carolina. Pretty good tilt for what it's worth.
We'll probably talk about this more next week and beyond, but you think the Rays are going to be playing at the Trop March 27th?
No. I don't.
Which begs the question, where are they going to be playing? If you're the Rays, what's your gut? Do you want to go Atlanta? You want to go Miami and be in a major league stadium? Or would you rather stay in the region? Phillies have a place in Clearwater. Yankees have a place in Tampa. Your own affiliates in Port Charlotte.
The league's not going to want them to play in those minor league facilities. Major League Baseball Players Association's not going to want them to play in those minor league facilities.
Jays have a place in Dunedin. There's lots of places they could play, but they're all 8,000 to 11,000 seat minor league stadiums, which would be like the A's in Sacramento for 3 years. Have a great weekend, and thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
At Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, our goal is to help you love your life. When your life is sidelined by an injury, dizziness, surgery, or condition keeping you from doing what you love, we're here to help you heal and feel your best. Our therapist evaluation will determine the root cause of your health challenges, resulting in a unique treatment plan customized just for you. Visit www.physical.com to find your nearest location and see how we can help you love your life.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.